Hello.
What's up?
Here we are, day four already. I feel like this flew by this week.
No, I know. It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy, crazy, crazy. How's it looking? Looking good?
Looking good. You can see that crystal nice and clear.
All right, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Actually, I just gotta let Libby let um can you that's done. Um Woo! I gotta tell you, I think honestly, I think today might be the most valuable day.
Yeah?
This shit's good. Whatever I'm on this morning's good shit.
All I see is implementation on the board, and I know it's going to be good because
Yes, it's
whenever we can implement, you get results.
yeah, I'm happy about it. I think it's gonna be good. Um, all right, so I keep on getting more space every day. I feel like every day gets back more. Should
Yeah,
I
I
just
was actually going to say that. It seems like that there is a little bit more space.
about right there? How does that look? Does that look a little better?
Yeah,
I don't know how my crystal got so clear over there.
you can't see it too much anymore. Oh, now I can.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. Let me see. How does this set? No, that's some weird lighting shit.
All the light.
All of the lights in here, baby. That's how I feel. I got like have 5 ring lights at this point.
You ever get a headache after, like from staring at them? No.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't. Um, Thankfully not. Not yet in my life. All right, so I think most people would though. I feel like I probably should, but all right. Got my battery on. All right, battery's on. Recording is on. Okay, that is on. Um, I love how like if you miss one day, you won't go to the next day.
Yeah,
Isn't that fascinating?
I love that. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
wild.
wonderful human psychology.
Yeah, no, it's weird. That's just how psychology works.
Yeah,
That's the best way to describe it.
that's why people don't get ahead.
No, it's like that mindset of like, oh well, I missed this day, so I gotta
Yeah,
catch up before. We
yeah.
should we should write like a we should have wrote an email about something like that, or maybe tonight for tomorrow's workshop, to the last session.
It's fascinating to me.
Yeah,
Fascinating to me because my brain doesn't work that way.
no, me neither.
Right? I'm just
No,
like I'm. That's not the vibe I'm in. But anyways, you know. All right, let me. All right, that's off. It's good. Um, do. Oh, I need to make sure that nobody can. Oh, I didn't make you co-host yet, did I?
yeah, no, not yet. I was just gonna remind you to do that.
That is good idea. Make co-host. Make co-host.
Lots of people in the waiting room.
All right. All right. I think we're good here. I think we're good here. Every time I look at it, I'm like, how is this so crystal clear? I don't understand it.
It's so not. It's literally the clearest.
It's like you can see every last follicle of hair. Um, okay, let's do it. Let's go. Allow the people to enter. How is everybody in the house today? Another day. Can you all hear me, see me? Are you all experiencing the high definition of my hair follicles? All right, wonderful. Scott and HD, what is up, John? Good to see you. Excited that you are here. Listen, you're in for a treat today. I've never gone through what I'm about to go through. Day 1, 2, 3 was a repeat, of course, back in May when I did Skip the Pitch. In my opinion, the best version of it. But today, this is all new. All right, I got one comment. Who else is here? I see. There's plenty of people here, but either you're a little shy, don't want to be the first to comment. But who's been having a good time so far? Yeah, how's this been for you? I was just actually talking with Gianna how the human mind works, about how if somebody missed day 2, of course we had hundreds of people here on day 1, and of course it kind of dwindles as time goes on, and instead of someone being able to come, they say, well, I need to do this before that. And we were talking about how the mindset of this before that generally isn't the best mindset. And so no matter if you miss something, you should keep on going. But school taught us that we can miss something. We're behind. And the truth is we're never behind. John says, working on relevancy in my world and a little bit of social selling via texting while attending this workshop and actually close some mini deals, feeling energetically abundance. It was a great time. Missing content like this here in Germany. Missed the last few days live, but caught the first day replay, but wanted to make it live. Finally, wonderful. I love that. Live is a totally different experience. Replay is great because you get the content, but feeling the energy live, there's nothing like it. It's why I don't record content. I really don't like doing content when it's not live. Anytime I do content live, it's just a totally different experience. And I'm also going to clean my glasses while I'm here before I get going, because I just noticed I can't see anything. I don't have 4K of my own vision. I'm so excited for today. Because I'm going through some really, really, really beneficial implementation information, so that if you're here and you're like, all right, I'm here, what do I do next? While I can't give you, hey, this is the golden brick road, because I don't know enough about your business, at least I can give you an overview. What I would maybe say, what I would probably from a high level say are your next at least steps. And today as well, I'm going to be going through Modern Business Academy Plus and what's actually inside, which is interesting and fun and cool, because this is the first time I'll publicly talk about what's inside. So that is also fun, and I'm excited to be able to clip that up and put it on our sales page too. Gianna, how you doing? How you feeling over there today?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited.
Feeling good like we should. All right, cool. Here we go. Glasses are clean, so I should be able to go. Replays, you get the replays for life. You get the replays as long as I am alive. More than likely, I'm going to be keeping these things online. So I don't believe in making the replay go away. Maybe I should utilize human scarcity that way, but I don't use human scarcity that way. I always find people will find things in the perfect time when I allow the perfect time. Someone might buy this and watch it three months later. You know what I mean? And you always got to remember, relevancy is a double-edged sword, right? So you're relevant, but somebody else might be in their life a little bit different of relevancy, right? Their timeline might be a little bit different. If you believe in perfect time for your life, you got to believe in perfect time for someone else's life. Double-edged sword on that one. All right, let's get going. So, implementation. Today, I'm going to be going through implementation. You know what? I always love when I am able to teach. One of the reasons why I build curriculum and my content too far in advance is because I'm kind of unveiling the content to myself as I'm actually going. So yesterday I said that we were going to go through the screenshots and everything. I decided to do that. Got up this morning and I was like, yeah, that's the wrong thing to do. I'm going to do that tomorrow. And instead, I'm going to go through the implementation stuff today, because if I share with you the screenshots without the implementation, it's not going to make as much sense. And it's actually been interesting, because this week I've been kind of on my, texting and that type of thing. And, I think I closed $55,000 worth of sales, actually $55,000 in collected revenue just this morning. While I was also doing that, I was out for a walk and I was kind of texting and doing my thing. And so I was like, well, I'll use these too, right? I'll use these too tomorrow. And so I'm excited to show that to you tomorrow. But today, I'm going to talk about implementation, about where you are from your revenue level, where you are in your business, if you're at, the number of sale calls, and how to actually transfer to going to text, how to actually transfer to going from maybe overwhelmed to having more simplicity. So no matter if you're at zero in this session, it's going to be effective. No matter if you're at $200,000 a month, this is going to be effective. I'm trying to give an overview. Of course, your own alignment, your own place inside of your business is going to change what this plan might be. As I always say, because of the fact that I generalize information, when I'm writing a post, when I'm writing an email, when I'm doing a video like this, I'm giving a generalization. And so it's really important to know that a generalization won't bring you to true north. True north comes from being able to embed and take your mindset, where you are in life, the resources you have, what actually feels good to you, what feels good for your customer, and being able to take all of this and then building your plan from that. All right, so it doesn't normally you cannot just take a blueprint from somebody else and just go, all right, let's do that. That it might work, but you'll end up in a place where you don't really want to be, unfulfilled. You might end up in a business that's not profitable. And you also don't know what somebody else's blueprint actually is giving them, right? So you could take someone's blueprint and say, well, that's how I can get to 100,000 a month, but you may not know that that person's making 100,000 a month, but only profiting 5,000 a month. Back when I had an agency, when I was 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, my profit margins were amazing. I didn't know at the time, but my happiness and my fulfillment was one of the most happy and most fulfilled I was between the time I was 16 and 18 and now, right? If I look at the years of my life, those were the time periods that they were the best. Right. But when I was 18, 19, I moved and I started looking at other people. Right. I started looking at other people, and I looked at other people, and I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I need an office, and maybe I need team members in person, and maybe I need this and need this. Now, I went from a 60, 70% profit margin in a marketing agency down to about a 10 or 20% profit margin because I looked at other people and looked at their blueprints and said, well, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should compare myself to that. And so I always tell people, don't compare yourselves to others. Don't just borrow other people's blueprints and plans. You need to have something that's customized, that's personalized for yourself. But further than that, you also need to always ensure that you're not comparing yourself to a past version of yourself, right? So don't compare yourself to others. Don't compare yourself to you in the past. You need to compare yourself to just the next moment, the future self of who you are. When you do that, you don't get this inner feeling of fear of missing out. You don't get this inner feeling of angst that you're behind. And anytime that we feel like we're behind, we're going to make bad decisions. We're not always going to make the best decisions. All right. So first off, I want to give you a gift. And we're going to be adding this to the portal for you. So we're going to give you two gifts. Number one, I'm going to give you day one of my 5-day marketing workshop. So some of you have that. Some of you may have bought that on the sales page already, or maybe you have had it in the past. You can go to 5daymarketingworkshop.com and get the whole thing for $95 right now. But I'm going to give you the full first day for free. And the reason I'm going to give that to you for free is to help you build your relevancy, because a lot of the content that is in there goes really deep into relevancy. And further than the fact that it goes really deep into relevancy, it gives you some of the exercises, not all of them, but some of the exercises that are in my full Modern Business Academy program that helps you be able to build relevancy, because it's very important from an implementation perspective. If you do not have relevancy, you cannot charge what you're worth. You cannot really, you actually, if you don't have relevancy, you can never actually skip the pitch. It's not going to be possible. You're just going to be another solution, another offer, right? And so we don't want to do that. We always want to have relevancy. And the second thing I'm going to do for you when it comes to omnipresence, I'm not going to give you the day of omnipresence in the 5-day marketing workshop, but what I am going to do is give you, I think it's about 15,000 word blog article, and essentially omnipresence explained. And it's a full, here is exactly how omnipresence works. All right. And a large part of that is in my new book, in Skip the Pitch. So I just wanted to give that to you. So we're also going to get that linked to you as well. And that's really a whole overview of omnipresence, everything that I taught into one article that I believe does an incredibly good job of being able to translate that. So we're going to get those resources to you over the next couple of days, probably going to be next week by the time you actually get access to it, but you're going to have access to that forever. It'll be inside of the learning management portal where you have the replays for this as well. But I just wanted to start with that because those are two elements that I could talk about for about 4 hours. I said, you know what, instead of doing that, instead of talking about that, deep diving on that, I've already recorded it. It's already there. But those two things are so important for implementing to be able to skip the pitch. Because as you've learned, skipping the pitch isn't some sales script. Skipping the pitch is building a business that allows people to feel like you're relevant by the time that they start talking to you, allowing you to get to that moment. Okay? So, some questions to start off from the implementation perspective. All right, so got some questions to think about. Then I'm going to share with you the things that you actually need to be thinking about in order to implement this. I'm going to be going into the revenue level and what to do at each revenue level, how many sales calls. We're going to go into what to do to be able to increase lead flow, how to actually implement ROI, relevancy, omnipresence, intimacy. And then I'm going to go into some use cases. So for example, if you're starting out, I'm going to tell you the next 7 things you need to do. If you're at 10,000, you want to get to 50,000 a month, I'm going to tell you what to do. Got a sales team, don't want to have a sales team anymore, I'll tell you the process on that too. So I'm going to be sharing a lot of that with you today. And of course, doing the 4th Q&A session. All right, so your business model, is your business model ready to evolve, ready to go to the next level? You want to be able to bring your business to the next level, but your business model needs to be able to evolve. So I look at a business model, right, and I say, okay, we have 4 different, like I talked about this on day 2, I believe. I talked about this on day 2 or day 1, one of them. And I said, all right, well, there's the intimacy offer, an audience offer, a core offer, and then of course the freedom offer. Right? And so normally the easiest way to start a business, if you're making less than $20,000 to $50,000 a month, is the intimacy offer, which is a mastermind one-on-one event, something such as that. Okay. Well, the problem is that if you bring this here and you bring this over and you start scaling your marketing, scaling your systems, scaling and allowing people to skip the pitch, you're going to hit a scale problem and a freedom problem really quickly, right? Because you only have so much time, you only can work so much, right? So, but here's the issue. Most people go and what do they do right after they do one-on-one offer? They do the core offer, right? So let's say you charge, I don't know, $5,000 for one-on-one, and you say, okay, I'm going to do a core program for $2,000, or like a group program, okay, or a course, or whatever it is that you feel energy around. Now, the problem is they do this, all right, and they fill it up the first time. They fill it up the first time easily, right? So let's say you've been growing an audience, you've been putting out the content, you've been doing the emails, you've been doing all the different types of things. You have 10 one-on-ones. You're like, you know what? I can't do any more one-on-ones. Well, what you should do at this point is to create an audience offer, a workshop, something that's $27, $47, and you should focus on your marketing in this place. You got to remember that ROI, relevancy, omnipresence, intimacy-based marketing takes time. You just don't put an ad out there and get somebody on the phone the next day, because that person on the phone the next day is generally not going to be the best lead for you and your business. We've talked about this in day 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so what we want to do, we want to put a workshop out there. We want to put a challenge out. We want to put something into the world that we're able to, through organic and partnerships and paid traffic, utilize some of the money, right, from this intimacy offer to get it so that we can automatically increase our audience, increase our email list, our Instagram, our Facebook, our group, whatever it is. Because here's what happens. People do go from one-on-one, right, their intimacy offer, to a group offer, and they do it too quickly. And when they do it too quickly, they then can't fill the second or third group of people. And so let's say the first group is 8 people, right? And then they do it again and it's 6 people. And then they do it again. And because of the way that they haven't built their audience, they haven't utilized ROI, and they've used referrals, or they've used just posting it as a testimonial, and they haven't expanded their audience, we get to a point where now the core offer, the group program, is dwindling on the number of people that are in there. And now you have a time issue, because it's going to take a month or 2 months or 3 months for your marketing, for the ROI method to actually activate. But now the other issue is now you're managing this and you're managing this. And so now you're going to start getting overwhelmed. right? So when I tell people to do this, we want to do the intimacy offer first, this audience offer second, and then the core offer or the group program or whatever it is later. Even though you could launch the group program, even though you could expand how much money you're making in that moment, it's better to be able to keep your business and life expenses low and invest into building an audience offer, a funnel, implementing the ROI method, because 6 to 12 months later, you're going to have a business model and a marketing and sales system that's actually sustainable and scalable. Instead of being in a place where you have this core offer that is being very, very, very difficult to get people in. Now, I'll give you a secondary version of what happens. Okay, so let's say you do get this one sort of going, and let's say you get down the road 2 months, 6 months, and you start hiring people for it. Maybe you hire a customer success person. Maybe you hire a salesperson. Okay. Well, now what's going to happen? What happens a lot of the time? Okay. Is that because you haven't done an audience offer, because you haven't implemented relevancy, omnipresence, intimacy, because you haven't implemented a funnel and an ability to be able to expand your audience, it becomes more and more difficult to be able to get clients in. So every launch does a little worse than the last one. And now your salesperson is like, hey, I need phone calls or I'm going to leave. Right, so you're just trying to get phone call after phone call after phone call after phone call. You're feeling this pressure, this overwhelm from the fact that now you have a team to pay. Now you have expenses to pay. Now it's just not yourself. Now you don't have enough money to be able to put into actual marketing and sales because you're putting it into team. Now instead of being empowered in your own self, you're making it so that your team is dictating your life. You've gone back to having a 9-to-5 job where, your team is your job, is your boss. Right? We don't want that. We never ever want to build that. I'm gonna make sure I didn't screw okay, perfect, awesome. I didn't mess the camera up. I hit it. All right. So what we want to do instead, like this, I've seen this play out so many times. I never want to put you in a place. I never want you to put you in a situation where we are trying and it's hurting to get people into the core offer. The core offer should be evergreen. People should be coming in when there's a launch, no launch, through your content, through omnipresence, through all the different types of things. But if you don't have that infrastructure, you're going to continually struggle to get people into that offer. I don't want you to do that. And then the last part, the freedom offer. Freedom offer pays for your expenses. All right, people do this way too quickly. They do the membership too quickly. They do the monthly reoccurring too quickly. I only want you to do this when all of this here is working perfectly and you already have a large audience, an audience of at least 10 to 20,000 people on your email list or your Instagram or whatever it might be, right? Because this pays for your expenses, but we don't want it to take much of your time, right? This shouldn't take any more than 10% of your time. If your freedom offer takes any more than 10% of your time, it's better to put your time somewhere else and then divert that money to be able to pay for expenses. Right, so this is the most critically important element to make it so that you can scale intentionally. One of the biggest reasons that people burn out, go bankrupt, and implode is because they scale the wrong way. Right? So most businesses do not run out of money. A lot of the time they implode, right? So it's not from starvation that they die, it's from indigestion that they actually die. And so a lot of the time people have to blow their business up. I only know because I've been there, all right? In order to get these problems taken care of, all right? And so, as you go along, by being able to build the intimacy and then use the money for the audience and then use the audience and the money to be able to go to do the core offer, we're able to build a strategically built, sustainable business in scale. Okay? Does that resonate? Does that can you see how that would play out in your business? Just real quick in the comments. And the core offer, the core offer is the evergreen product. It could be something that it doesn't have to be evergreen, right? It doesn't have to be evergreen. Like, I'll give you an example. In my business, my intimacy offer is my accelerator program, okay? That's my $40,000 program for somebody that generally has $50,000 a month in revenue and above, all right? And so then my audience offer, hey, you're here at the workshop. That's every single time I do a workshop, it's an audience offer. Right, we take more of the people that are in the slow lane to bring them into the fast lane, and we take more people that are out there that might know me a little bit, might have been into a lead magnet, might be on my email list, might be on my Instagram, and we turn them into someone that's actually had an experience with me. My core offer I'm going to talk about later on, which is Modern Business Academy Plus, right? And then my freedom offer is my regular version of Modern Business Academy. Okay. And so that's how I have my business set up. And I actually, if you want, there's a 23-minute video on YouTube that goes behind the scenes of my entire business model. I sketch it out on my iPad. I sent it out to everybody this morning, actually, via email. But if you go on my YouTube, it's about 23 minutes and actually goes through my version of this, just so that you can see my behind the scenes of how this builds a multi-seven-figure business. Now, that is the foundation of being able to scale, because if you have an intimacy offer too long, you're going to make it so that you can't really scale, you can't really skip the pitch. If you have a core offer and you don't have enough audience, you don't have enough people to actually go into it, the quality of your program goes down, your ability to hire the right people goes down, your ability to be able to reinvest money into the business makes it really difficult to not scale, right? Growth requires energy, right? And so the energy of money and the energy of time is needed to be able to scale. So we have to source that energy in an appropriate way in order to be able to scale the business. Whoever's cutting up content for my social media afterwards, that was a good one. All right, so I've been learning from Scott for almost a year, and this was only in the last month I finally began to understand all the pieces of the puzzle, not the puddle. It's a lot to digest, absolutely. And there's a lot of depth in the way that I teach, and of course, everything sort of takes a piece from the past and adds onto it, right? I like it that way. All right, so this is still not clear on the differences between this one and this. So think about it. This would more likely be your one-on-one, and this would more likely be a group offer. And this audience offer would be more like a $97 workshop or a $27 mini course, or something that allows us not necessarily to make money, but to spend money to be able to what's called liquidate our ability to go and get new audience, right? And I got to tell you, when you see this, you're generally going to be like, what the actual heck? Why is it so simple? Why did I not think of that? And that's the normal feedback I get from it. And people are like, I need to go restructure my whole business now. Like, how do I restructure it? Almost every single person that we do a personalized strategy and assessment for, this is one of the first parts. It's like, when we do a 7 to 10 page plan and we give it to someone in Modern Business Academy Plus, this is almost always, I'm looking at their business model being like, all right, that's out, that's in, let's do this. And then boom, they're like, oh my God, I have clarity. Let me just go do that. Right? Clarity allows you to take massive action. Until you have clarity, you can't take action. All right, that's the entrepreneur curse. All right. Now I want you to get really clear. This is also really important. Okay, so you have the right business model. Right? So you've redesigned the business model. Keep in mind, that could take you years to build. All right, that could take you years. Doesn't have to be right away. It could take you years to be able to build those 4 different products, those 4 different programs. Not telling you need to do it in the next 90 days. Everyone thinks you got to do everything in the next 90 days. Guarantee you try to do everything in the next 90 days, you're not going to have enough energy to do it. Okay. Understand what you do. All right. So we need to, if we're going to do the skip the pitch, we got to understand where you are in the business and what you do. So here's a very, very, very simple. When I work with somebody, these are one of the exercises I get them to do right from the get-go. List everything that they do. I want you to list everything you do on a monthly basis. I want you to list everything that you do, right? Doesn't matter if you're at 0, doesn't matter if you're 10,000 a month, $500,000 a month. I'm always getting someone to do this exercise, right? And so then I want you to look at, is that the best place for you to be able to get leverage? Is that the best place that you get energy? Like it's an energetic exchange that you're really excited about? And what type of impact does that have? Okay. So this allows you to know that should you outsource your sales calls or not? Should you outsource your marketing or not? Should you outsource taking care of your house? Should you have a chef? Okay. So when I look at my life, and we have a chef, and they come and they bring us food 3 times a week. I don't enjoy cooking. All right? I don't enjoy cooking. I love organic, amazing food. I love food. Right? Don't get me wrong. I don't love cooking food. Maybe once a week, right? I love cooking a good pizza. A pizza is my thing, right? But when it comes to it, my energy of spending, let's say, 5 to 8 hours a week cooking, that doesn't give me energy, right? And it's also not a great use of my 5 to 8 hours. I value my time at least $10,000 an hour. Everybody should value their time more than in their mind maybe they actually should. But I know I can bill out at about $10,000 an hour if I'm working with somebody one-on-one. If I'm actually looking at how much time and energy I'm actually spending, about 10 grand an hour. Okay, so it's definitely not going to, and my food, me cooking my own food, because it also doesn't have energy and leverage, it doesn't actually have that much impact. All right, it really doesn't have any impact. Now, I also have somebody that comes 3 times a week and they manage our house. They take care of our house for us. Okay, and so again, I go through and I'm like looking at the leverage, I'm looking at how much money I pay for that versus my return. And then I start looking at my whole life. I start looking at my whole business. What things now? Could I outsource me building my marketing funnels? I build all my sale pages myself. I build everything that you see. If you were here at Skip the Pitch, I wrote the sales emails. I wrote it all, right? Wrote it all. I put it online, and that was it. Now, could I delegate that to someone? Absolutely. But you know what? My leverage is massive because tens of thousands of people see it. My energy, I love doing that stuff. Like that's like I get here, I get in the evening, I'm like in my lair and I'm like just my creativity is flowing, right? And the impact is massive. The impact on my business, it generates me a lot of money. It generates the people that actually have come into this a lot of money, and money is energy, so it's creating more and more energy on the planet, right? Which is what we want. Now, there's lots of things in my business I don't want to do. Right? I don't want to manage projects, so I don't do that. I don't really want to manage customer success because I know that if someone's dedicated job like it is to be able to, like their job is to make it so that people are successful when they come and pay us money, right? Well, that's somebody else's job, right? I use some of my energy on that, but someone's entire focus is on that. Right? So when we look at our business, and this is important because a lot of people outsource their sales and hire a salesperson when they actually enjoy sales, when they actually feel momentum from sales. I still do some of the sale texting with Gianna because you know what? I love it. I don't want to do it all the time, right? I don't want to make it so that I always have to do it. My social media, I don't want to have it so I always have to do it. I want to be able to come in. I want to do it when I want to do it, right? And then be able to ensure that it's happening all the time. So, when an application comes in once in a while with Gianna, I'm like, hey, I'll take that one, right? And I do it for fun. And I also do it because it's like I get energy from that. Okay, so then 2 here, I just already said it without even reading it. Delegation isn't always the answer. So a lot of the time people outsource their sales way too quickly because they listen to some guru say that they needed to delegate or they need to outsource everything. We should outsource and delegate what we don't have energy around, right? What doesn't have a lot of impact for us and what doesn't have leverage, right? So we've got to kind of, again, it's one of these triangles, right? I really need to learn how to draw them better for the fact that almost everything I talk about is in a triangle. But it's really, really important that you realize that when you're doing Skip the Pitch, if you have energy around creating the marketing funnel, go do it. Don't listen to me tell you to outsource it. If you want to do 50 sale calls a week because you get energy around that, like go for it. Right? Do something until you no longer get the energy around it. And once you have the energy, now you can go and leverage your time and be able to delegate it so that you can have the impact in your business. Okay? So just because it's just like just because you can make money doesn't mean you have to make the money. Just because you can outsource it doesn't mean you have to outsource it. All right? So how's this relevant to Skip the Pitch? One of the biggest elements of why this is relevant to Skip the Pitch is because when we go and we look at, okay, now we're going to scale it. What do we need to do when it comes to scaling? All right. Every single pillar of the business, 5 of the 6 at least. Marketing, sales, operations, delivery, and finance. Those 5, we have the opportunity to outsource and delegate elements of that. And there's going to be some parts of that in building a Skip the Pitch business that's frameworked, that allows you to make it so that's really easy to be able to bring people that you don't have to sell to, that you don't have to convince you don't have to persuade. It's going to be really easy from there to be able to decide, okay, you know what? I love operations and delivery. Some people love operations and delivery. Some people love marketing. Some people love sales. Some people love finance, right? I love finance because it's the flow of money, but I don't love doing my bookkeeping. I get my, once a month, hey, here's your numbers, but that's it. right? I don't need to be more involved than that. I need to be involved in, hey, where do I want to invest my money? Right, and that's interesting to me. Some people that's not interesting to, and so they hire a financial advisor to make those decisions for them. Not me. I like that. That's interesting. That's fun. I get energy around that. Has a lot of impact. And for me, doing it, that creates actually leverage for me in my own life. So let's talk about the core issues that you're going to try to solve, right? Doesn't matter where you are, 1 to 3 of these issues you're going to have. And as you go along in your entrepreneurial journey, you're going to have these continually, right? One of the things that people think when they're building a business or scaling a business, that like someday there's not going to be any problems. And like, I'll be honest with you, that doesn't happen. Business is built on being able to solve problems. The day that you don't have any problems in your business is going to be the day that you don't make any money, because people are paying you to solve problems, right? People are paying. An opportunity is a problem looked at in a different perspective. And so your ability every single day, you can show up and say, you know what, I got all these problems, I got all these challenges, I got all these issues. Or you can look at, hey, look at all these amazing opportunities I have to be able to change things. All right, so the way that we want to, the way that we look at our business, the way that we look at the world, needs to be from the lens of not obligation, but opportunity. When we look at it from a lens of opportunity, everything looks much more clear. Everything looks more positive. Everything looks more empowered, right? So, core issues. Let's talk about them. And then once we talk about these, I'm going to go and show you how they align when it comes to your revenue level, how it aligns for the actual use cases for who you are and who you may be here watching this today. Okay, so first off, core issue, lead flow. Somehow I lost my, where's it gone? Oh, it's in my pocket. All right, there we go. So let's talk about lead flow. Let me do a water break real quick though. Okay, core issue of lead flow. So, I mean, I don't know how many people fill out an intake form or whatever it might be, and they say, well, I just need more leads. If I have more leads, it'll solve everything. All right, if I have more leads, I'll just be able to make more money. I'll be able to make more money, Now, sometimes that's true, but a lot of time it isn't necessarily true. So how do you fix lead flow? All right, so lead flow is normally fixed by having more conversations, more attention on you, creating more content, building more relationships, creating more partnerships, or being able to essentially distribute your value in a more automatic way, or having a systematic way of being able to have more value out there. And of course, different versions work at different times. If you want to scale from 50,000 to 150,000 a month, it's not about having more conversations. That's actually going to keep you at 50,000 a month or maybe 70,000 a month. Right? But if you're at 0 and you want to get to 10,000 a month, the number one thing about anything that I just said is just you having more conversations and building more relationships. Do you know in 2013 to 2015, I had 300 group lunches and dinners, right? All over North America. So I would literally go on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook, and I would message random people and say, hey, listen, do you want to come to this group entrepreneurial dinner? I wrote a whole book on it called Connections That Count. It's on Amazon. I don't know how good it is because it's 6 years old, but I did write a book on it. Those 300 dinners, lunches and dinners ended up building me a multi-million-dollar agency, and it also built the original Facebook group that allowed me to launch my online course in 2015 to the first 22 people that paid $1,099. I did not use any paid ads in my online business until the middle of 2016. It was all conversations, relationships, relationship building, partnerships, and me going and helping other people. Not a single dollar was spent until I think the second launch in 2016. All right. So the excuse of, well, I don't have enough money, or I don't have this, this is a complete victim mentality. When most people say, well, I don't have leads and I don't know what to do, they're spending 80% of their time thinking about what they don't have instead of actually going out and creating the reality in which they do have it. Right. And so people are like, well, what do I say? Create value for somebody, create value for someone. It doesn't matter how you're doing something. If you're creating lead flow and you're creating value, it doesn't matter if you have Facebook ads, YouTube ads, you're doing organic, doesn't matter if you have partnerships, don't matter if you call somebody up cold on the phone. If you create value instead of just simply pitching something, you're gonna have a much higher chance of the ripple effect of what that looks like into the future. And I'm a huge believer of creating the ripple effect for the future. Right? Like I know the things that I'm doing now, right, are going to create my success in 2024. Like what I did 2 years ago has a massive effect on my life today. I have equity in close to 24 businesses at this point. And majority of those relationships were built in 2017, 2018, 2019, and early 2020. They were not built today, and the equity in those businesses are going to allow me to be able to make $1 million a month by 2023 on just a monthly basis without me even having to work. Right? So thinking about that into the future, and I know you can't always think into the future to that level, that extent, right? But what you can do is every single day know that when you are having conversations, when you are want to increase lead flow, it's about creating more energetic cords between you and another person. So let's think about this for a minute. Relevancy is the ability. We've talked about relevancy, omnipresence, and intimacy over and over again. Relevancy is the ability to create energetic cords that transfer energy, okay? Omnipresence strengthens the cord so that we have the ability to transfer the energy, and then intimacy allows for the transfer of the transfer of energy between us and the other person. Okay, because money is energy, attention is energy. All right, attention is energy, money is energy. Wherever attention goes, money flows. Okay, and so you have to remember, if you want to change your lead flow, you create more attention. All right, you create more, and you can do that through creating more content. You can do that through having a lead magnet. You can do that through having a workshop. You can do it through having more conversations. You can have that through building relationships. You can have that by just creating value. Anything that creates attention will create lead flow. Anything. So how you do it is dependent upon what advantages you have for where you are, what resources you have, where you are in your business, all these things. This is why having a personalized plan for what you do and where you are and what's in alignment is critical for being able to grow a business, because what works for one person doesn't work for the other. Second, core issues. I can't charge enough. I can't charge what I'm worth. There's no worse feeling than knowing that you should be getting paid more money, but you can't. Excuse me. It's a terrible feeling. It's a terrible experience to be there, right? But sometimes you have to do it. Right? You can't just sit around and be like, well, I'm not, unless somebody pays me this amount of money, I'm not going to do it. So sometimes you just got it. You've got to make money, right? You've got to have momentum. So what's the easiest way to be able to charge what you're worth? Right? What can I charge? How much I charge for one-on-one, which honestly is an absurd amount of money, like a crazy amount of money. Like just at the end of the day, I remember one of my mentors, we were talking one time and he was saying, he's like, Scott, you got to remember, like, I was kind of like, this is when I was 27, right? I was 27, and at the time, 27, no, maybe I was 27, 28. And at the time I was charging $20,000 a month for working with me one-on-one. And he's like, Scott, you have the, top 5 management consulting businesses that can't charge that amount of money for what it is that you're actually delivering. Right. And I was kind of getting down on myself and some stuff at the time. It was somebody that was helping me on my mindset and that sort of thing. And he's like, how do you do that? How do you, and I start mapping it out and kind of start mapping out the ROI method. And one of the reasons why the ROI method came to be. And so it all starts with relevancy. It starts with 2 things. The reason you can charge what you can charge comes down to how relevant you are to the person, how confident that person is that having you in their life is going to allow them to get to the next level, to the transformation that they want, with the least amount of pressure and anxiety, with the highest amount of relaxation. That's number 1. The second is your ability to constrict supply and demand. Okay, so if you have 100 people that that want to work with you, and you get someone on the phone and you say your price and they say, no, it doesn't matter to you. No, it doesn't matter to you. But if you only have 2 phone calls, you get on the phone and you're now giving your price, you're going to be anxious about your price. You're going to undervalue yourself and you're not going to really get paid what you're worth. So one of the biggest reasons why I tell people to increase your audience flow, a lot of people don't care about building an audience. They're like, well, I just want to get phone calls. I just want to get phone calls. I just want to pay ads to get phone calls. I don't care about audience building. I don't care about, community building. I don't care about these things. I'm like, cool, like that's fine. But just know your supply and demand, the more you want to constrict it, the more it's going to cost. All right. Instead of being in a place where you have just a very abundant ability to be like, okay, this is how much I'm going to charge for this. I don't care what the market cost. This is what I cost because I have so many people that I'm omnipresent to, sorry. Right? I have so many people that I'm relevant to. And so by doing this, we're able to charge what we're worth, and we'll be able to have a much higher profit margin business because we don't have to compete with what else is in the market. I don't. When somebody comes to me one-on-one, I'm not competing with some other guru that's out there that sells one-on-one. I don't know what they charge. All I know is what my time and what it's worth to me. Right. So this relevancy and omnipresence allows you to do that. Right? 3, too many phone calls. Scott, I got 27 phone calls on the calendar this week. Right? Everyone tells me that should be a good thing. I'm rolling into my Monday feeling like my 9-to-5 job feels a lot better right now, right? So how do we reduce the number of phone calls? How do we reduce the number of people that are on the phone? Well, we have to get into an abundant mindset, right? The second is we need to get a lot of those people off the phone. And so one of the biggest things, if you have 27 phone calls on the calendar, what's the first thing people do? They go and hire a salesperson. That's the last thing they should do. First thing they should do is reduce their phone call length from 60 minutes to 15 minutes. All right. The second thing they should do is they should text every single person, and they make it so the application, they don't get on the phone with every single person. You ever see these applications where they do an application and then the calendar's on the thank you page? Not doing it. Of those 27 people, how many people are qualified? Let's call it 18. Of those 18 people, how many are a good fit? Maybe 14. I want to be on the phone with those 14. So you automatically just halved the number of people that you actually need to be on the phone with. The other 14, you give them a webinar, you give them a free course, you give them some content, you give them something that allows them to build intimacy with you, allows them to build relevancy with you, and we'll see them in a month or 2 or 3 or 6. The reason why people have so many phone calls on the calendar is because they have this scarcity mindset. Well, I got to get more. I got leads. Oh my God, I got to have more. And they end up having 4 salespeople with having way too much leverage that they don't actually need. And now they're trying to get sale calls for their sales team. So their sales team won't leave them because they don't have enough volume. So what do? They get all these crappy phone calls. They keep on building this entire sequence, and it's just more and more. Their close rate goes down. And so now you have the energy of all these people that you actually have to have. Now the salesperson's going to start selling people that don't actually need it. So now your operations and delivery is going to be crap because you're bringing people in that don't actually need your product or need a different product. And so now you're going to be patching holes all the time. You're going to be having to offer refunds. That's going to hurt your mindset. It's going to hurt your finances. Your refund rate's going to hit 10, 20, 30%. Now you're going to have liabilities, and you now on any given month, you're going to be in a place where you lose money instead of being able to make it. That is what happens when you scale having too many phone calls. The only difference in your mind is switching from scarcity to abundance. And scarcity abundance means having less, but being able to get more, right? Scarcity is having more at any cost. Next one. Hey, Scott, I had a guy 6 weeks ago. And I worked with him in 2018. 2018. He came to my house for a half one-on-one day, and he had a great business at the time. And he's like, Scott, but I didn't take any of your advice. Now I got a $500,000 business, and I'm making 30 grand in profit a month. And I'm like, been there. Literally been there. It sucks, right? So core issues is going to be margin. So anytime margin goes down, and this is for a business that you're not trying to sell. This doesn't mean that if you're trying to build a business to sell, this is not true. But if you're here, more than likely, you're not trying to sell your core business. You may take the money, put it into another business and sell that business, but your core business, if built on a personal brand, probably not selling it. Okay. So if your profit margin goes below 20%, you're 1 or 2 months away from the whole business screwing up. Okay. Secondarily, the energetic exchange between you putting your time into your business and you looking at your bank account every single month and being like, gee whiz, I'm working for free. And there's nothing worse than an entrepreneur being like, I'm working for free. I'll tell you a really terrible story that happened in 2018, 2019. 2018, 2019, I made $14 million. Out of making $14 million, I only kept $1 million. I know, embarrassing, right? It took me a while to get over that one. I made $14 million, kept $1 million. In order to shut down the business, I sold part of the business and I shut down the other part of the business. Now, I had 40 plus team members. I'm not going to let them go, so I give them 45 days cash, right? So 45 days cash plus paying our suppliers and everything else, it cost me $900,000 of my own money. I took $1 million out, put 900,000 back in. I basically worked for 100 grand, right? But the kicker is, for that time period, is about 15 months. For that time period, I put 100 grand in to start the business. I worked completely free for 15 months of my life, right? Because I didn't have enough margin, right? And so what happens when you don't have enough margin? Generally, you're trying to scale too quickly. Generally, your ego's out of control. Or generally, you, as you scale, are making decisions at the wrong time. And so what does this making the decision at the wrong time mean? Well, you're hiring a couple of salespeople when you should be refining your process. You should be fixing your marketing so you're getting more qualified leads so that you get a 70% close rate instead of a 30% close rate. Right? But people are obsessed about speed and momentum and let's go and let's go and let's go and let's fucking do it. Right? Instead of being able to get back to let's scale intentionally and let's scale from our heart and our body, right? Not our mind. Our mind's going to do shit that our body can't keep up with. Right? One of the biggest reasons why the ego is out of control. Everyone's addicted to caffeine. Everybody's addicted to, all these nootropics and all these different types of things. Everyone's comparing themselves against somebody else. So you're there, you're 9 a.m., you're super caffeinated. You've been up since 6 a.m. and you're like, yeah, let's make that decision. That's really not aligned to you, but it's aligned to your mind and your ego. Right? And so you make enough of these decisions. You got to remember, you're only 3 to 5 decisions towards where you want to go or where you don't want to go. Right? You're only 3 to 5 decisions. It only takes 3 to 5 decisions to put you where you don't want to be or where you want to be, to have a life of fulfillment and freedom and happiness or not. Okay. And so when it comes to margins, being able to build a business that has great margins comes back to implementing the ROI method so that there's a waterfall effect, implementing it so that you don't have to have this sales team, that you don't have to have the commissions that goes with a sales team, having a sales manager, right? Comes with having a business that might have less revenue, but has a lot more profit. Like I could have, I could easily have a $20 million business, a yearly business if I wanted to have it. But you know what? One of my good friends, he came here last October. He's like, hey, Scott, what's your margin in your business? And, we were talking, we're very authentic and vulnerable and, no comparison in our relationship. Right. And he's like, yeah, I'm at like 32 million, but I only kept like 3.2. Right. Only kept, we're in some first world problems here at this point, but even still, and he's like, dude, my shit's broken compared to what's going on here. Right. My shit's broken. I'm like, hey, listen, we're playing different games and everything else. Well, over the next 3 months, he realigned his whole life. And he's like, listen, all that was bullshit. Right. That was my ego. I don't need that anymore. I'd rather have my $5 million business that I had last year in 2020 than a $35 million business that gives me the same amount of profit. I really would. I really, 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 really would. I much rather the margin. You got to think about this. You got to think about it this way. Like, the more margin you have, the more efficient the energy inside of the business is. All right. So we want to be, if we're not selling the business, if we're not building the business to sell, I got some businesses, we're trying to go for a 0% profit margin because we're trying to sell those in the next few years. All right. But if we're talking about a personal brand, a consulting business, a coaching business, an education business, a transformation business, we want to be in the 30 to 50% profit margin. Right? And the easiest way to do that is not to be giving somebody 20 to 22% of commission. Now, you may give them a commission of 12.5%, but you got to look at the cost of you spending time with them. You got to look at the cost of managing them. You got to look at the cost of hiring managers for them. All right, so skip the pitch. The idea behind the skip the pitch is to be able to add at least 20 points back to the profit margin. All right. Now, also keep in mind, you're going to add points for not having refunds. Right? You're going to make your operations easier and more effective. Like your whole business is more margin oriented for profit. And you got to remember, profit is good. Profit is leftover energy. Right? So leftover energy allows you to go then take that energy and invest it into what you want, to do what you want in your life. I love, 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 love money because it is energy that I'm able to direct where it needs to be directed. Right? Overwhelm. So what is overwhelm? All right. I think most entrepreneurs have a case of being overwhelmed. So what is overwhelm? Overwhelm is a lack of clarity that creates angst, which turns into overwhelm. It is the tiger that is behind us because we don't have clarity. Okay? And angst that comes from being out of alignment. So when we're overwhelmed, we've said yes or no to things that we shouldn't have. Right? I don't feel overwhelmed in my life. Right? And it's because I'm very conscious of when I make a decision and how I make a decision and to make the right ones. Now, I feel very lucky. I feel very lucky to have had my life up to this point. I feel like I'm, a 50-year-old living in a 30-year-old body, right? It's wonderful. I really love it, right? I feel like I have wisdom that's beyond me being 30 years old, and so I can make wonderful decisions. And I look around, I'm like, I want to help other people get that same way, right? But overwhelm is this deep-seated anxiety because we either don't understand what to do, or we're making decisions that our ego are making instead of our actual alignment in our heart and what maybe our real way of going is. So how do you get rid of overwhelm? The easiest way to get rid of overwhelm is to write like everything that you're anxious about, right? I remember the first time I did this, I had like 100 things. Right? Anxious about everything a few years ago. I come from a family of worriers. My grandfather had a heart attack at 42. My mother had a heart attack at 37, not because they weren't healthy, but because they were so overwhelmed, so anxious, and so worried about everything. Okay. So I grew up in a place where I worried about everything. Let me worry about everything. Let me think about everything. Let me be anxious about everything. And I finally decided, you know what? Let's let go of that. And so easiest way, let me look at all my anxieties. Now in my business, let me look at all my anxieties. What's everything that in my marketing that's broken? What's everything in my sales that's broken? What's everything in my operations that's broken? And then go and figure out the plan that works for you, whether you need a mentor or a coach or to be able to follow somebody else. And I'm not a big believer, like you have to use your intuition, but you've got to use intuition along with something that actually works, right? Over the last couple of years, I've become an investor. What did I do? I went and paid money to people that are investors to mentor me because you know what? I've never been an investor my whole life. I don't know what to look for, what not to look for, right? When I started getting to the cryptocurrency market, I hired a mentor for that. I found some friends that did that for the last 7 years, right? When I got into investing in businesses, I went and I got a couple mentors for that. Because I'm like, I'm done making mistakes. I'm done making dumb mistakes. I'm totally cool doing something and not getting the result there, but I don't have enough time for that, right? You're always going to have more. You can always make back money, but you can't get back time. All right. A lack of yes. Hey, people are on the phone, but they're not saying yes to me. Does my offer suck? Why not? Why don't I did 10 phone calls? No one said yes. Reason this is going to happen. 2 reasons. Number 1, your relevancy isn't on check. 2, your intimacy isn't on check, right? They don't feel connected to you. And actually the third one, is simply because it's a mindset game. Right? Easiest way to get yeses is not need the yes. We talked about this yesterday in the mindset section. Right? Easiest way to not care about the no is to actually not care about the no. And the easiest way to do that is to have, again, so much audience so that there's going to be people that want to work with you. Right? Building that abundance. Right? If you know that you need to have 20 conversations with people, have 40. Right? If you know that you need 1,000 leads, get 3,000. Start building that audience, building those people that can actually work with you, building that sidewalk, slow lane, fast lane, so you have this waterfall effect of people continually wanting to work with you in the fast lane. That builds a very successful and easy to grow business, and it solves a lot of these problems. Momentum. Scott, I just can't get momentum. I just can't get momentum. I can't feel the momentum. Momentum is the core drug. If there was a drug for an entrepreneur, momentum is the drug. And we can become addicted to the drug, to momentum, and that's not good. But momentum breeds more momentum. Like one yes gets us to another yes. And so we kind of have to hack momentum. We have to look at, okay, well, how can I get momentum in the quickest way? How can I get one little piece of momentum and then use that for the next, and then that, and then that? And there does require some level of strategy for this, right? So in my life, I make sure that I make decisions that are stacked. Right, that stack momentum. All right, I'm going to skip the pitch, and then after the skip the pitch, I'm going to do this thing, and then I want to get momentum on this, and then I'm going to use the momentum to dovetail off to this other thing, and then I'm going to use that for the momentum over here, because I know that momentum allows for things to happen much easier. Right? The thing about momentum is you actually have to be able to stop it. Now you can start and stop it very, very easily. If you look at the quantum physics of momentum, you can start and stop very, very quickly. But momentum comes down to you being able to intentionally think about it, right? Intentionally think, like, all right, you know what? Momentum, I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to have 5 really great, I'm just going to try to add value to 5 people every single day this month. All right. You get up 30 days, at 30 days a month, 5 times, 30 times 5, 150. I'm going to build 150 relationships this month. I'm going to get momentum of being able to help people. Right? I'm not going to think about, all right, I want to sell 5 programs this month. No, I'm going to go help 150. I'm going to figure out how to help 150 people. Right? Because I know if I'm going to help 150 people, the universe is going to give me a return on that investment, both now and into the future. If you can get yourself to believe that the universe is going to give you a high return on investment of you being able to make the universe better, your life is going to become exponentially easier. Exponentially easier. Next one, which is related to momentum, which is a plateau. Hey, Scott, I'm at 50,000 a month. I haven't been able to get past 50,000 a month. Hey, you know what? I haven't been able to get past this. So plateaus happen for a few reasons. One, you've got to change the set of strategies and tactics you've been having. If you want to get to 50,000 a month to 150,000 a month, you've got to change the whole way that you're doing something. If you want to get from 10,000 to 50,000, same thing. If you want to get from having a job to being an entrepreneur making $15,000 a month, again, totally different set. So that's first. Second, you got to start looking at everything in a different way. Your mindset has to change and has to evolve. Right? Massively have to change and to evolve. And those 2 things generally are what stops an actual plateau. Or third, you got to get back to the heart of the business. And what's the heart of the business? It's delivering value and being able to distribute that value and the depth of that value as much as possible. So back in 2019, May of 2019, about 2 years ago, I came off of, like I said, I felt like I got punched in the face. I had this business, I scaled it past 8 figures. I got past that whole 8-figure thing people talk about. And I felt like a failure in some ways, right? Felt like a failure. And so in June of 2019 to really the end of 2019, it was one of the hardest times of my whole life when it came to my mindset, because I felt like a failure even though everybody else felt like I was successful. Right? Because I was like, oh, you know what? I had an 8-figure business, but I just didn't. I couldn't. Like, why did I give it up? And the truth is, I could have kept on going. I could have raised amazing amounts of money and been able to really scale it, but I just didn't want to do it. But that hurt my confidence in such a massive way because it hurt my identity. Now, I've been there before. I've been in different situations in 2017 and 2014 and in 2011. Right? Different times in my life where my ego and my identity need to work. And so I knew what to do. So what did I do? I knew that if I simply went and helped people and figured out how to help people, even if I wasn't getting paid what I was necessarily worth, that it would help me. So what did I do? I took 10 one-on-one clients. And I went and I launched my ROI course, and I said, hey, listen, anybody that buys this, I'll get on a 20-minute phone call with you. At 200, up to 200 people. At 200 people on a 20-minute phone call. Now, I did phone call day after day after day after day, and was it skip the pitch? Absolutely not. I wasn't even selling anything. There was no actual upsell. I wasn't selling anything. There was no upsell on the back end. My intention was to be able to just help somebody. Because I knew if I just helped entrepreneurs over and over and over and over and over again, I would get to see myself again. And I would be able to create that ripple effect to be able to get past that plateau. And so instead of me scheming up some crazy strategy of how I'm going to, build this next business or build this next thing, I said, okay, let me go help people. Let me go help people. And that was my version back then, right? And back in 2013, I sold my agency in 2011 for $1 to avoid bankruptcy when I was $1 million in debt. They took over the debt payment. I went to work for them. I was a part owner, but not a majority owner. It was the most depressing year of my life, 2012. I remember I see a couple of photos from that time and I looked terrible, depressed. I would smoke weed 5 times a day. Started at 7 a.m. in the morning. Nothing against smoking weed, but for me, I know if I smoke weed, something's wrong in my life. I'm trying to suppress something, bring my energy level down. And in 2013, I finally decided I can't do this anymore. And so I said, I quit. My business partner also stole a bunch of money from me, so that was a benefit for no longer doing it. And so I went and I had 40 or 50 meetings with people that I met over the years. And my intention was, how do I help them? And I would listen, I would find, and you know what? My agency, we were doing billboard ads for some people, radio ads for the other. We did Facebook ads. We did absolutely everything. Yes, I worked 18 hours for 2013 and 2014, but I was able to own my life and own my reality again. And it all came back to being able to get off of this plateau. It doesn't matter if the plateau is terrible. It doesn't matter if you're depressed. It doesn't matter what it is. If you go and help other people, you will get away from that plateau. So plateau, help people, change your mindset, and change your set of strategies. That is how you're able to get off of a plateau. Those core issues, like those are the core issues. Doesn't matter if you're at 0, doesn't matter if you're at 10,000. Those core issues in relation to marketing and sales is what stops entrepreneurs in their tracks. And those are the ones that we need to sort of get out of the way of, right? Get out of the way of, and we have to work our way around them, okay? So, what do I do based on how much revenue I have? Well, I'm going to tell you. This is the type of stuff that people can only tell you when they've done hundreds of times. The best thing about being able to do something on repeat over and over again, I remember one of my mentors, he was a billionaire in 2016. We were at this club in LA. I met 7 or 8, or maybe about 10 billionaires at this point. He was definitely the one that I didn't want to model my life after, but I got some good advice from him. And so we're at this club in LA, and he said, Scott, I never ever made money from innovation. I made money from repetition. You repeat. I was like, that's interesting, because I'm always trying to innovate. I'm always trying to create something new. And he's like, I made my first $1 billion, not by innovating, but repeating, finding something working, just kept on doing it, and then figured out how to do it over here and here and here and here. He was in the military space, but the way he made it, I won't say specifically, but the way he made his money was fascinating to me, right? The most boring thing you would ever imagine that someone would become a billionaire on, right? And so, but the beauty with repetition is that it innovates automatically, because you see something and you get better, increment. And so in your own life, in your own business, you see this. And for me, from my perspective, what I love about what I do on a daily basis is I get to see the perspective of everybody else doing their innovation and repeating and everything else, so I can kind of give you the pattern, right? Because everything has a pattern. Everything in life is a pattern. And I can almost, when an entrepreneur comes to me, I can almost predict with almost 100% accuracy what's going to happen. Why? Because I got so many data points. You, of course, if you're a master at what you do, of your craft, you would see the same thing in your business, in what you do with your people. All right, so if you're below $10,000 a month All right. Now, obviously, there is one of those little squiggly lines of like ish. But 10,000 a month, you need to be working on relevancy, having more conversations, and increasing intimacy. If you're at 0 a month, you do not need a funnel. If you're at 0 a month, you don't need a website. You don't need a payment processor. You don't need ClickFunnels. You don't need any of that shit. All right. Now, obviously, this is different if you, for example, have like a higher level of financial resources. You got $250,000, $500,000 in the bank that you got from corporate, or you got from selling something else or whatever. That advice is not correct. But I'm talking about someone that has less than a year's worth of money in the bank for be able to take care of themselves. This is what you need to be focused on. All right. So you get a little bit of momentum. You're in the build stage of a business. All right. So what do you need to be focused on? Or you need to get a little bit of help at 10 to 30,000, right? This is the time when you need to hire an assistant of some sorts, or somebody when it comes to customer success. All right. You need to rebuild and figure out your business model, because you'll never get past 30,000 a month at this point unless you build your business model, or you'll get past 30,000 a month and you'll come right back down because you don't have the right business model. We talked about this a few minutes ago. And this is where you need to be building your systematic lead flow. This is where you need to be really utilizing the ROI method. Right? The ROI method is utilized for relevancy here and for intimacy here. Here is where we have to be implementing omnipresence in a greater way. Not just organic posting of content, but being able to bring attention to you on an automatic basis, no matter if you're on vacation, no matter if you're working with a client, no matter where it is. We have to have an automatic way, a systematic way to be able to bring attention to you and your business. All right, so now we're actually, we're beyond the build mode, and we're kind of getting we're getting momentum now, right? We're getting momentum at 30 to 70,000 a month. So now we have the systemized way. Now it's time to be able to take some of our profit, to take 20 to 40% of our profit and to start putting it into paid advertising. But it's seeing it as an investment instead of an expense. So instead of you saying, oh, at $10,000, what's my return on ad spend? What's my ROAS next month? No. I'm going to spend 20% or 30% or 40% of my profit margin for the next year as an investment into my business. I'm going to look at it as an asset. If I spend $250,000 on ads, I look at it as an asset. I look at it as the same as me putting $250,000 into a bank account, $250,000 into real estate, $250,000 in whatever. Why? Because I'm spending $250,000 building energetic connections with my potential ideal customers that are in the sidewalk, slow lane, and fast lane that are eventually going to give me energy back. All right. People look at marketing like a day trader. I'm sorry, but day trading is really complicated. It takes a lot of time. It's very stressful. I don't like it. I do like the Warren Buffett model of investing, value investing. I believe in myself. So I believe that the more people that know me, the more money I'm going to make. Automatically, 100%. It has never failed me. My best investment has always been myself and being able to build an audience of people around me that see my work and see what I am capable of and that I can deliver value to. All right. Here you're going to need to hire a team. Doesn't have to be a lot of people, a couple of people, right? As I've said, my whole team, 5 people. You don't need to have I run a multi-million-dollar profit business. That's not revenue, multi-million dollars in profit business. And I run it on a team of 5 people. You don't have to have a lot of people, right? A lot of the time we hire when it hurts. We need to hire with intentionality and looking at the next 3 to 6 months, right? So a lot of time people hire when they're overwhelmed. If you hire when you're overwhelmed, you hire the wrong person. You can't train them. You can't get them up to speed. You're in scarcity, not in abundance. That person doesn't work out, or now you hire a second person to do the job that full person should be doing. All right. And then this is the point in which we're really wanting, now that we know what our business model is, now that we know we have people in, we can now start building an operational and delivery system, an onboarding sequence, all the things that you can't build at the beginning. You shouldn't build all this operational stuff until you're generally at about $50,000 a month, because you don't even know what your business model is then, right? You don't want to build your operations and your processes until you know that you don't need to pivot for at least 18 months. Next part, so you have 70 to 200K, 200 can go to about 250, right? Once you start building a business past 3 million a year, it's a totally different business. I could tell you how to get from $250,000 to $500,000 a month and $500,000 to $1 million a month in terms of what it is, but I don't feel like it's as relevant here today. So I'm not going to go into it. But mostly what we're looking at here is going to be the evolution of your business, evolution of your mindset, the biggest thing that's going to stop you from this is the stories of the past, your stories around money, your stories around all the things that I told you about yesterday in the mindset section, self-trust, all of these things, they're going to come up and really be in your face. Okay, really be in your face. Why? Because now you are the manager of energy. You're going from an entrepreneur to a manager of energy, all right? And so in that time, when you go from an entrepreneur to a business owner, right, we have to look at life differently. We have to think about things differently. We have to be in the 3 levels of consciousness differently, okay? And we also have to then look at the business expansion. How do we fully build out the rest of our business model? How do we take care of our expenses? Right? How do we now go from just having Facebook ads to having diversity of traffic, diversity of lead flow, diversity inside of our business and outside of our business, right? How do we build a business that continually is building itself? And so this, again, changes where you go. But here's the problem. People build their business. People try to scale their business the way that they did here. And what happens? They get burnt out. Their lead costs go sky high. They don't have a team that's able to support them. They hire too many people because that's what they did at the 30 to 70K range. And so when it comes to being able to skip the pitch at every single level, which I'm going to go through in a minute, right, it changes based upon which level you're on, right? Because each level, in particular the skip the pitch, has a different level of sale conversations, right? Sale calls. Let's call them sale calls. They might be text messages. They might be whatever it might be. But let's go, right? From 5 people a week right up to 50 and what you should do. So at 5 a week, right? If you're at 5 calls a week, you want to be in a place where you're continually outreaching and you're on every single one of those phone calls. Why? Because if you're on 5 phone calls a week, if you're only at 5 phone calls a week, you need the intimacy with those people as much as you possibly can. You want to get 70, 80% of those people to close, right? When you do go to text messages, you are going to lose the number of people you're going to be able to close goes down. Obviously, your profit margin, all these types of things go up. But at this level, we need to be learning what the person is saying. We need to be spending time with them, not just for them, but for us. Right? The reason I can text so effectively, I'm going to show this to you tomorrow in day 5. The reason I can do that is, yes, authority, and I know, but it's the fact I know entrepreneurs better than they'll ever know themselves. And I know the mind of an entrepreneur incredibly well. When I work with someone, particularly one-on-one, I'm solving their problems before they even know they have the problem, right? Because I've done it so many times, right? And so in this place, right, we want to keep the phone call. We don't want to go to text closing. We don't want an application. We just want to talk to people. Intimacy. The more intimacy, if you can build a wonderful multi-6-figure business with just relevancy and intimacy, right? You may not be able to get it to 2 million, but I guarantee you can build an amazing business just being present with people, right? Next, if you got 10 calls a week, we just want to bring them to a phone call, right? Again, just a phone call. Maybe you don't need to do as much outreach or whatever it might be, right? But we want to bring them to a phone call. And only at the point where we're around the 10 to 20, do we want to add in the application, and we want to go from a 60-minute phone call to a 15-minute phone call to then, of course, being able to do a full phone call. Why do we want to do this? Because we want to qualify people. We got 20 phone calls. We only want to have 12 if there's only 12 that are qualified. Now, of course, this is running on top of the ROI stuff that I've told you about, and I'll show you how that ties in a minute. Now, we're at 20 to 40, all right? What do we do now? Well, we want to go to application and then text message and then only call and text if we have to. This makes it so that you don't have to hire somebody, right? I hired Gianna when I had to hire Gianna, right? I hired Gianna when I was like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. This is no longer the highest leverage of my energy, my time. I want to be able to come in and do it when I want to do it, but I don't have to do it, right? So then once you're at 50, now it's time to be able to come in and overlay somebody on top of this strategy. If you do it before then, right? If you do it before that point, or if you skip from here to here, you're going to lose margin, you're going to lose momentum, you're going to lose all of those things. So, of course, you have to be getting, plenty of sale conversations on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, but this is what it looks like. Okay, now, And of course, we're going to do Q&A after this. I know there's probably a lot of questions. How do we hire a Gianna? How do we hire somebody that can consciously, intentionally bring people into your business that's not really a salesperson? Okay. So I've never hired somebody that's a quote unquote actual salesperson in my business. I have only ever hired coaches, other people that are in personal transformation. And, like in one of my other business, I hired somebody that was, they had a job in addictions. They helped people that were in addictions come out of addiction, right? Why? Because what does a coach and what do those people do? They lead with love, compassion, and empathy, right? What's sales? Sales is a very willful, like, let's go, let's get it. Right? We don't want to bring that. We want somebody that can actually understand the person, not just close the sale, right? I always say, I'm a closer. I'm just like, oh, come on. It's 2021, guys. We're not trying to close people. Come on, no. Ugh. Hurts my heart. So how do we hire? First, the best person that's going to be able to sell you and your business, your product, your service is a customer that in their life, in their alignment, it aligns. Right? So Gianna was an entrepreneur. She still is very much an entrepreneur, right? All of us are entrepreneurs. But inside of her life, she had a different call. She had a different path than building her own business at the specific time. All right. And so it was very, very, very in alignment. And, I think her alignment from everything that I talk to her on and know her on, there's great alignment between myself and her, right? In her business and her entrepreneurship journey. Someday I'm sure she won't be doing sales for me, and that's totally fine. If people stay around for too long, that's not good, right? Because they're out of alignment or you're out of alignment. We don't want to keep on the people for the rest of their life. Right? That's a mentality of scarcity, not abundance. Right? So we want somebody that comes from your audience. We just don't want some random salesperson, right? We just don't want somebody that say, hey, listen, they're trained on sales. We got it. I don't believe in that. I believe we would need somebody that's connected to us, that believes in us, that we inspire, that they believe in being able to bring people to us. Right? Because that is what somebody is doing. Somebody's looking at all these people out there being like, when Gianna's on the phone with someone, or on the texting with someone, she's like, oh my God, like this is going to change their life. If that person doesn't believe that this is going to change their life, you got to get them out of your business as soon as fucking possible. So the easiest way, so you've hired them, you got them. They don't know much about sales, more than likely. Like they might have had some sales. So yeah, you might do a little bit of sales training or whatever it might be, but what you really want to do is get them into doing a text message, an application, and messaging back and forth. Give them all, every single time that you do a text, every time you do a sales call, you got to record it. You text and be like, first 2 weeks, just go and listen to me. Go listen to me, look at my text messages. Let's run through them. Give me your feedback on them. What did you learn? What did you didn't learn? Right? So it should take a month before the salesperson is in doing things. Right? So when I said, hey, Gianna, do you think, because she was in a customer success role. She still is. She does customer success as well as, well, in my opinion, this is customer success. Coming and working with us is customer success. If somebody's successful with our free content, if someone's successful with our workshop, they want to work with us more because they know that the transformation is there. Now, I said, hey, listen, I'm going to just send you the whole, I'm just going to send you everything on text messages. I'm going to send you some phone calls. And I was just like, consume it all. Right? Number one thing you also want to do, you never want to give a salesperson just commission only. If you commission only, problem with commission only, terrible thing to do, really. Commission only means that the person is in scarcity from day one. If you can't put a salesperson into abundance from day one, then you're basically setting them up to fail. You're also setting them up to make sales that they probably don't, they know that they shouldn't make, okay? So then what we want to do is we want to slowly scale that person. We do not want to give them, so what happens, when people are overwhelmed, when there's too much going on, you're like, you know what, just take it all. So what happens when you just give it to them all? That's a lot of pressure. They're like, shit, like a month ago I wasn't doing any of this, and now I'm doing all of it. So what do we want to do? We can do easily, if you got an application form, you can easily split test using a little piece of software. They get 10% of the calls, you get 90%. They get 20%, you get 80%. You get 60%, they get 40%. And you scale it up to the point where you're comfortable being able to give them more and more and more and more while not breaking your business. I see so many entrepreneurs, they hire a salesperson and they break their entire business because they've hurt. If you outsource your marketing and your sales, you're outsourcing the way that you actually receive energy. So you need to consciously be able to delegate the energy of building more energy inside of your business. All right. So from there, it's essentially three things. We want to be able to scale, knowing that whoever it is that you hire isn't going to be as good as you, right? If you have an 80% close rate, they might have a 20 to 30% close rate, and you got to work with them. You need to systemize what it is that they're actually doing, right? And they're the one that should be systemizing it. If you're an entrepreneur, you're generally not good at systems. So you want me to say, well, what's the easiest way for you to be able to manage this? This is why you should hire your salesperson, the person that's doing this. You should hire them plus the sales commission. You shouldn't just do the sales commission, because we want them to be building the process. We want them to be building an efficient system. We don't want you to be building it. We don't want your operations person to be building it, because it's the wrong person that's building it. All right. And then you constantly need the review, right? If you have iMessage, you can share your iMessage so you can see what they're actually texting. Right? Or say, hey, listen, put all your screenshots up. You want to be giving them feedback and helping them be better at what they actually do, and being able to be there for them so that they're able to actually do their job at the highest and best capacity possible. No, I think there's one in between here. Oh. All right, so we've got our ideal flow. So we've talked about a lot up to this point, but what's our ideal flow? What happens, okay? So somebody has a moment, right? They say, hey Scott, hey this, or hey, they go to, they're on the webinar you have, or they're on the application, or on the workshop, or whatever communication platform. And like, hey, I want to work with you, and you qualify, make sure that you're relevant to them, make sure you're in the slow lane, they're in the slow lane or the fast lane, making sure that they're actually somebody that you're going to be able to have as a customer. And then from there, you have that sales conversation, you go through, and then from there, you say, hey, this offer is perfect for you. Or you say, you know what, you should go take a look at this content. I got some free content, I got this course, I got this thing. Do this, come back in like a month. I think you might be ready then. All right. So no matter who you are, this is what you should be doing on top of everything I've talked to you about so far. Let me get a little bit of water here. Oh, I hit it again. All right, perfect. So, on top of everything I told you about sales, everything I talked about on the actual execution of sales, when it comes to the relevancy, omnipresence, intimacy, my framework, my methodology, no matter if you're at 0 or you're at 100 grand, if you implement this in a year from now, your business is going to be totally different. 3 months is going to be totally different. So first, we always need to have relevancy. Doesn't matter where you're to. That's why I gave you the day 1 of the workshop to help you on relevancy. Regardless if you buy anything from me or not, when we help people in a big way on relevancy, all 8 parts of relevancy. When we bring someone in the Modern Business Academy, it is one of the parts that in the assessment, we're really outlining of where it is that they need, of those 8 parts where they need to actually do. But let's say you're not up for that, totally cool, all good. I hope to see you here soon, but that first day is going to be able to help you on that. Doesn't matter where you are, that's important. Content and distribution, attention, content distribution, and omnipresence. Your ability to just get content out there over and over and over again. Listen, when I started putting content out there, nobody was listening. I'd get 3 likes. I'd get nobody to listen. I had an email list, 300 people on it. I'd send it as if it had 100,000, right? It's just about you being able to put content out there, get more and more and more and more and more inner momentum. But content is attention, the ability to actually be able to have attention out there. We have to be able to figure out a way, distribute your content, who you are. And we need some way, we need some core pillar or some magnet to be like, here's my framework, or here's the 3 things you need to do, or here's the 7 ways that I do this, or here's this. We have to have something that allows for us to contextualize ourselves to someone when they come across us. This is very important, especially at the beginning, as well as when you scale, because if somebody comes across you, they can't contextualize you. They're going to tune out. We need people more than ever to tune in. At that first $50,000 a month, we need to make it so that every single person that comes across you that you can actually help can tune in. This all benefits us. And then finally, we need to have intimacy, a community, conversations, connection, and be continually doing this on a daily basis. And of course, if you're under $20,000 a month, unless you have a bunch of money in the bank, doing targeted outreach is very important. I'm launching this other thing, this intensive, this workshop intensive. And I've signed up 17 people. It's $15,000. I think 17 people. I'd say probably about 17 people by Friday, by tomorrow, maybe Saturday. No launch sequence, no anything. I just went, I got a list of all my kind of past customers and who I thought would be the best fit. I just messaged them. Hey, I think this is good for you. It's 15 grand. Here's what it's going to help you with, right? You're never beyond targeted outreach. I'm doing it. I'm going to show some of that to you tomorrow too. I'm going to show you the actual text conversations, show those to you, right? And so this doesn't matter where you're at. It becomes more and more relevant, right? Now, of course, you can't do it all at once, right? So if you've never done any of this, if you've never really taken a look at relevancy, you do that, and then you start distributing content, and then you get better at the actual content and being able to frame it the right way, and then you're able to actually increase the way in which you're putting content out there. You start using retargeting ads. Now you start using videos. You start delegating things in your business so that you can actually do this, or you hire someone to be able to do this for you. And then, of course, always being able to add intimacy no matter which level you are on. Right? One of the biggest things I always see, people build these multi-million-dollar businesses and they cut out intimacy, then it cuts out their ability to actually do business, because intimacy is the way in which we transfer the energy from one side of the energetic cord to the other. All right, we're in the use cases. These are fun. I've never done this before, so we're gonna have fun with this. I got real excited earlier about this. How are we doing so far? How's everyone feeling? I haven't checked in. How's everyone feeling so far? All right. Many questions. How are we doing on time too? What are we at here? Okay. Mind blowing. I love a good mind blown. I love a good mind blowing. All righty. So use cases. I always do these. I always think they're going to be like 20 minutes. Whenever I put content together, I'm like, at the beginning, I'm afraid that it's not enough content. And then I get into it. I look at it's like an hour and 40 minutes gone by. And I'm like, oh, either I'm talking a lot about something or I have time dysmorphia. So I think about, I'd say about 20 minutes. I'd say about 20 minutes-ish. I'd say about 20 more minutes for the person who said how much longer with the question mark. All right. So, yeah, time dysmorphia. I don't even know if that's a thing, but it is now. Use case. Scale without sale calls. Let's say you're here, you got a business, you want to scale without sale calls, you don't want to do it. I told you about Kate on day one. Well, how would you implement that in your business? First off, we got to take a look at your business model, all right? Got to take a look at our business model. We got to realign the business model right from the get-go. So what does that mean? That means that we might have to take a program out. We may have to change the way it actually works. When I was working with Kate, we had to make her program go from a launch format to an evergreen format so that she could always take new people in. All right, so then we had to change the marketing and sales system. So again, you're going to use Kate as an actual example that implemented this. When Kate came to me, we had to change her normal webinar to be a video that then brought people to an actual application that then changed the way that the application went to a conversation that went to an actual sell. We also had to change the way in which she collected payment from being on an upfront basis to more of a monthly basis that then allowed for people to upgrade to the full amount of money. So when someone goes, I don't know if this is like it anymore, but beforehand it was $397 a month. Once they buy and once they pay their second amount, somebody reaches out to them, hey, do you want to save $600 and get an extension of this? Most people would say yes, and she would be able to get that upfront payment, right? So from a marketing system, this changed. And then on top of this, actually, never mind. I get to it in a minute. So that's what it might look like. Changing our marketing and sales system, implementing ROI. Of course, she also implemented omnipresence. She has a whole 100 pieces of content that gets retargeted when people come into this funnel, as well as like now 6 months of content and emails and all these things. Then in order to test this, we did it with, so these are out of order. First, we did phone calls with past customers, understood their messaging, understood what it is that they actually needed. Would ask them, hey, would you have bought this if it wasn't for a phone call? All right? Talk them through it. Then we did a launch test. So to her audience, we did a launch test. If you have an audience, if you want to scale and you can't sell to your own audience without a phone call, you are not going to be able to sell to someone that's cold without a phone call. Okay, so you gotta test this first with your own audience. If you can do it with your own audience, you can do it with somebody else. All right, so then we scale. All right, and then in her case, I was like, listen, we need to put at least 60% of the profit back into the marketing, into the ads to be able to scale this up, right? Because I want to be making $100,000, $200,000 a month, and then be able to turn down the ad spend and use an audience offer, which she does now, to be able to scale this and be able to decrease how much money we're putting on ad spend, right? So at the beginning, you have a lower profit margin, then you add on the audience offer, you add in the core offer, and now you have the ability to pay for your marketing without it coming from your direct core offer or your intimacy offer. Okay. And so what this allows you to do is get from 20 to 50,000, 50,000 to 100,000, 100,000 to 2,000 more quickly by fueling the ad spend, by fueling the business and having a lower profit margin for 3 to 6 months so that you can flip the script, build a business, have enough data, be able to make the tweaks that are needed, right? Hire the people that are needed, all of these types of things. So then you can then flip and then go from maybe a 10 or 20% margin to a 60% margin. And I guarantee you Kate's profit margin is impeccable when it comes to this. And then of course, what you want to do, this is always going evergreen. You want to launch at least 3 times a year. What does a launch do? They inject profit and they are able, just like this workshop launch, they're able to take people in the slow lane and put them into the fast lane, or take people from the fast lane and turn them into customers, right? So that's a use case if you're scaling with phone calls. Obviously that assumes that you're already doing sale calls already and you want to scale without sale calls. All right, now let's say you're overwhelmed, right? If you're overwhelmed, I'm more than likely talking about an entrepreneur that's overwhelmed, but they have some profit, they have some cash flow, okay? So what do you do here? So first you do your task list like I talked about before, and we do an energy map. I don't have time today to go through energy mapping, but we map the energy in the actual business and how energy flows in the business. Okay, it's something that I do particularly with people that are overwhelmed, to be able to actually map their energy so they understand where the energy leaks are inside of their business and energy leaks inside of themselves, right? Then we eliminate whatever's inside of the business that is not high profit money. A lot of the time people have businesses that, they may be making 20 grand over here, but they're only making $1,000 in profit. Let's cut out that revenue. I'd rather have lower revenue and higher profit, right? Because anything that has a low profit margin without intentionality behind the profit margin is an energy leak in the business. We want to eliminate that. We want to make sure that we have focused, intentional, conscious energy flowing through the business, and we don't have energy leaks because, hey, listen, we're wild entrepreneurs. We come up with ideas. Our egos are out of control sometimes, and we want to do this and this and this. We got shiny object syndrome, and then we look around. We got 6 products. We don't know what to do. We have no clarity, and the momentum's gone. Right? So then I'm going to get them to do an intimacy offer. I'm going to get them to do some one-on-one. I'm going to get them to create a mastermind, something that does not require them to create operations. They don't need to have team, and it's just them working with someone one-on-one. Why am I going to do that? Because the overwhelmed entrepreneur needs some money to be able to make some decisions and refocus and restructure their business. Okay, so then I want to be able to take that money and I want to redevelop their operations, their business model. I want to be able to launch the new marketing utilizing the ROI method. Of course, this requires money, which is why I got it there. All right, so then I'm able to actually start utilizing the audience offer and the core offer with this new way of doing the business, which is taking away the things that no longer work. So this is, in essence, transitioning a business away from chaos and overwhelm into focus and clarity. Okay, and then from there, I'm able to scale slowly while extracting money. If you're overwhelmed, more than likely you haven't taken money out of the business, right? You haven't taken energy out of the business. So what we want to do for the overwhelmed person, once we've done this, once we've changed the business, we want to take some money out. We want to go and buy some shit that we've wanted, right? It could be your house, it could be the car, it could be whatever it is that you want it. You need to be able to wake up in the morning and be like, it makes sense for me to run this business. Right? It's really easy. My multi-million-dollar house on this beautiful mountain here in Northern California, when I wake up, I'm like, shit, I love what I do. You know, I'm not gonna downplay that. I'm like, this is fucking cool. Right? When I'm out in my McLaren, I'm like, this is fucking cool. Right? I get to show up every day, do amazing work, and I get to like literally live my dream life. This is fucking cool. If you're overwhelmed, the energetic exchange is off in your business and in your life. And so we've got to get it back, because if you can't take care of yourself and fill up yourself, you can't fill up anybody else. Right? And so this is what happens, and the business turns into an obligation instead of an opportunity. We never want your business to feel like an obligation. When your business feels like an obligation, everything seems like a challenge instead of an opportunity. We don't want to do this. Right? Your positivity goes away, your relaxation goes away, your fun goes away. A business becomes this stressful shit show instead of being this wonderful place of evolution for you and your clients. All right, so the use case of being overwhelmed, this is what we do. And of course, through this, we outsource sales. Of course, this is always coming back, skip the pitch. Right? We're always coming back to being able to make it easier for you, being able to outsource and delegate these different types of things. We're not going to do it though until we've hiring a salesperson, hiring an operations person, hiring a CEO isn't going to magically make you not overwhelmed. Being overwhelmed starts with the DNA and the energy of your business. Okay? So that's overwhelmed. Now, of course, a lot of people are like, hey, listen, Scott, that sounds great. That's wonderful. I'd love to make, I'm happy being overwhelmed, making $100,000 a month. Bring it on. Let's go. I'm starting out. What do I do? All right, here's what you do. Keep in mind, every version of this has so much nuance, so much difference and alignment in these different types of things. I'm giving you the generalization 30,000 foot view. And from here, you need to have the depth to be able to, go further with this, right? This is why I built Modern Business Academy Plus, and our VIP program, so that when people come in, I can take a version of this and I can dive into where they are, their alignment, their business, their resources, and actually give them a plan so they can take the next 3 years and condense it into 4 months so that they're not, trying to figure out what the heck's going on. Okay. So starting out first, you got to master your craft, right? If you're starting out, you got to master, you got to get experience. So if this was doing one-on-ones for free, if this is working with people for free, if this is just giving value, you can't have ego and being like, oh, well, some people got to pay me right now. People got to do this. People got to do that. You need to be all the time that you spend kind of thinking about, how am I going to do this? Go and help people. Just start going to help people, right? If you just go and help somebody, you will end up getting so much more value from it than this obsessive thinking around, oh, I got to get a marketing funnel. How am I going to do a marketing funnel? How am I going to do this? What technology do I need to use? What's this? Oh my God, how do I pay the bills next month? Like, if you spent all of that energy just going and helping people, and that alone, just do nothing else, you're going to have a better business. So second, start producing content daily. I don't care if anyone's looking at it. When you produce content, you get better. When you teach something, you get better at it. When you tell stories, you get better at it. And content's one of those things. Being able to talk about our experience is one of those things that, it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship. The better that you're able to tell a story, the better you're going to be able to connect with your significant other. If you have friends, right? If you can tell stories, you're going to be able to connect with them on a deeper level, right? If you can create content, you're not going to get, you should see my content for 2013. That shit sucked, right? That shit sucked. And I'm sure in 10 years from now, I'm going to look back at this video and I'm going to be like, wow, that was terrible, right? But you never get there unless you keep on getting better and better and better at what you do. And you only get better and better at what you do by repetition, over and over and over and over again. So it doesn't matter if anyone's looking at you. You just spend 30 minutes a day creating that content and putting that out there. I guarantee you the universe will respond when it knows you're serious about being able to elevate who you are. Same. Building conversations and relationships. I talked about this in number 1. But when you're at this level, you need to be building relationships and conversations. This is what I've always done since I was literally a fucking kid. Right? Built relationships. What's valuable? I have this instinctive embedded in my DNA. If you know who I am, your life's going to be better. I go around every single day and that's what I want, right? That's what I want. Regardless if you pay me money, regardless if you pay me anything, regardless if you ever give me any level of energy outside of the energy that we're having right here. I want your life to be better. And so when I come here and I design what I'm going to teach to you, that is my intention. Right? That is my intention. And so when we have that intention everywhere that we go and everything that we do, people notice that and people are like, wow, I like being around that person. I really like being around them. You know what? I think they can actually help me. Right? Back in 2015, in 2016, I did all these podcasts and all these joint webinars. Okay. Like I said, I didn't have money I was paying 22 grand a month in expenses for debt, right? It's a lot of money. So I didn't have money for ads. Right? I spent a lot of money on ads before for other companies, but not myself. Right? At the time, I didn't trust myself to spend money. So what did I do? I went and I looked at all the people that had podcasts. I looked at people that had influence and then email lists. And I said to them, hey, listen, I really know marketing really well. I know this stuff really well. Let me come. I'll spend a couple hours with you. I'll help you with your marketing funnel. I'll help you with this and exchange. Let's do a webinar together. And I'll give you, 20% or 30% of the revenue on top of it. Now, I didn't go to them being like, hey, I'm looking for a handout. Hey, I'm looking just a partner. I'm like, what? No, I went value first. And through this, I did podcast after podcast after podcast after podcast. And I did webinar after webinar after webinar. But you know what? By the middle of 2016, I had tens of thousands of people on my email list. My audience grew significantly. And my ability to have relationships with now some of the top people in my industry, because I did it back then, I'm literally just friends with them now. That didn't happen by mistake. Right? That didn't happen by mistake. That happened with me knowing that me adding value and building leveraged relationships were going to benefit me someday. I didn't know how. I wasn't some social climber like, oh, if I know this person, I know this person. I don't have enough social awareness. I think I still have enough social awareness to do that shit. I'm not smart enough to do that shit. Right? But I do know that the more people I add value to, the more value I give of the thing I know, right? I'm pretty stupid on most things. Right? I'm not that smart on most things, but there's a couple things I'm really good at, right? And I was good at back then, and you're good at too. By doing that, we build that value, right? We build relationships. From here, simplicity. If you're starting out, you need one offer more than likely. You don't need a bunch. You don't probably need this complicated, funnel. You don't probably need a bunch of automations. You don't need this thing, that thing, and this thing that every other person's going to try to sell you. You need a very, very focused system to be able to sell something, right? And yes, there's nuance to it. And yes, there's a lot of nuance to it. But if you do this and you continually help people and repeat, and then take that money and put it into not your lifestyle and looking cool. Okay, this is not the time when you're making less than $20,000 a month. It's not the time to splurge on your lifestyle. I know. Hey, look, I'm 6 figures. Let me update my car. Let me get a Tesla. Let me get a nice. Don't do that shit. You want to keep money to be able to invest back into your business and back into you. Right? So where's the two places you invest money? And I'm not just saying it's going to sound rigged, but in the first place, I've spent money that had the highest return is mentorship, because it is avoidance of issues, avoiding the problems not avoiding the problems, being able to solve the problems more quickly will bring you further. Second, being able to spend money on the number of energetic connections, the size of your audience in your business. Those are the two places I want to spend money. Until I've got $1 million a year in profit, that's where I'm spending money, right? We won't go into investing because that's a conversation for a whole other day. This is your use case for when you're starting out. Yeah, Scott, I got momentum. I ain't starting out. I'm not, I got a little cash in the bank. What do I do? Well, besides buy Modern Business Academy Plus, which I'll talk about in a second, this is what you should do, all right? This is what you should do. First, we got to get your business model. We need that core. We need to look at how we're going to build the core offer and how we're going to build the audience. You got to remember, well, at this point, you probably used intimacy. So we got to understand how we're going to use the audience offer and the core offer together, right? And the plan for that and how that actually is revealed out. All right. We've got to get the ROI method implemented in this case. Like, we got to get your methodology out there. We've got to be able to get omnipresence. We got to have systematic intimacy, right? We have got to build system here. Right? But we may not need to put paid ads to it yet, but we need to make it so that however you got $10,000 a month, right? We need to be able to scale that. And the easiest way to scale that is to have more and more people look at you. Because obviously if you're making $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month, you've proven that you're good at what you do and you get at least some result, or you wouldn't have that type of revenue. Okay. Sales evolution. We need to get less phone calls, more qualified phone calls, and get more people to text message, because we do not want to be in a situation, if we're going to get to 50,000 a month, we do not want 20 hours of phone calls on your calendar, because that is going to completely wreck your ability to scale. I think most people can get to $100,000 to $200,000 a month without ever hiring a salesperson, and without completely destroying their life, and being able to do it less than 5 hours a week. Promise. From there, of course, there's going to be some mindset evolution that they need to do, some limiting beliefs, stories, those different types of things. We talked about that a lot yesterday. I won't go into it. And then from there, finding what leverage they need. That might mean hiring an assistant. That might be hiring a success person. That might be whatever it is. But this is the point in which you have to start being able to build and create leverage in each area of the 6 pillars that I talk about, right? Marketing, sales, operations, so on. Right. That is how, that plus a little time is how you get to 50K a month. Obviously, the more you can spend money with the audience offer and the ROI method for marketing and sales, the faster you're going to be able to get to 50K a month. I'm never going to tell you, hey, listen, you got to get to 50K a month. Whatever number you want to do right now. If you want to go from 10 to 20K, that's cool. We'll worry about where we go later. But the faster you're able to create more energetic connections, the faster you have the opportunity to scale. Whether or not you scale as fast as somebody else or yourself or whatever that is, that's totally up to you. All right. So now let's say you got a sales team. You got a couple salespeople and you're like, Scott, what do I do? I got a sales team. Shit's all broken. Fucking hate my sales team. What's going on? What do I do? Here's what you do first. You change it from application to text to phone, and you teach you teach your sales team how to go to the conversation. You start qualifying. You start saying, "Hey, listen," and you might be giving 10% commission. You say, "Listen, I'm going to be bumping your commission up to 15% because of blah 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 blah." Right? You got to do this at the beginning, right? Because you don't want to kill your sales, and you don't want to take it. If you got a sales team, you got enough sale conversations where you got to be careful not to take it. You can't put all that on you. Excuse me. Then once that's working, I want to eliminate 50% of the team. I know, sucks, but they'll be fine. They're resourceful human beings. They'll figure it out. Okay. Why do I want to do that? Why do I want to eliminate 50% of the sales team? Why do I want to do that? Because you don't need that many people anymore, right? And you want to be able to control and manage the energy in an easier way. We also want to eliminate, again, any of the low revenue revenue things that are coming in the door. You don't want a salesperson selling something that doesn't have a high revenue, or a high profit. You're just adding a number. So a lot of the time you sell something because you're like, well, I got to get cash in the door, right? Well, the problem with it is it's kind of, you're running a Ponzi scheme with yourself. Because like if you bring a $10,000 sale, but you're only making $1,000 and there's no reason to actually do that, you're just kicking the can down the road. You need to fix the problems. You got to fix the problems, right? So then we want to launch, right? So that we can produce some cash reserve. Now, whether that's an intimacy offer, whatever it is, but we need some cash reserve here to be able to get back to profitability, because we need to change the business model, and we need to implement ROI, and we need to be able to scale, and all those things require moolah, right? So easiest way, launch, high profit margin of a launch, then put that money into rechanging the business model that then allows us to properly implement ROI, that gives us enough runway to be able to scale and allows us to change our business from having, 4 salespeople to 1 or to 2 or from 10 to 4. But this allows us to more easily do this. Now, this process might take 3 months to 12 months to actually do, but it allows you to be able to transition in a more conscious way. All right, that's all the content I got for you. Now I just want to talk to you about Modern Business Academy Plus, what's inside, how it works. I got the questions yesterday. I got emails yesterday. I was like, you know what? I talked to Gianna. I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to normally I don't tell people, but I'm like, you know what? I'm done with that. My whole brand is about authenticity and transparency. So it kind of felt out of alignment to be like, oh, I won't tell you until you contact me. And I will tell you that this offer is relevant no matter if you're starting out to the point where you're making 100 grand a month. Okay. And I built it that way. And the reason I built it that way is because I have a variety of people, like from influencers to people that have no followers to people that have $0 to people that have 50,000 a month. And I built something that was able to be inclusive for all of them. Okay. So Modern Business Academy Plus, it's $6,000. Here's what's inside. So first off, right now, end of July, we have about 30 group calls a month. And keep in mind, these people I have the group calls with are people that I have either mentored, are in my higher end programs, or I'm an investor in their company. So for example, the person who does Facebook ads, I'm an investor in their company. So every single week you can come, you're doing Facebook ads, paid ads, Instagram ads, you get that shit reviewed. All right. We do mindset sessions, hypnotherapy sessions, sessions on operations, finance, personal finance, delivery, legal, you name it. We've got a session on it. And by this fall, this will be up to 60 sessions a month. All right. Now, here's the beautiful thing. Biggest problem with Q&A sessions that I always see. I don't want to go to it. I don't want to have to be there for an hour. I have shit to do. I don't want to be there for an hour to be able to get your question answered. Here's what we do. Modern Business Academy Plus people. You submit your question beforehand, and your questions are the first ones they do. The other beautiful thing, you get replays to every single one. We're also implementing show notes into the future. And so now you can go get your question answered. You don't even have to show up to the session. Right? You don't even have to show up. And if you do show up, you know your question is going to get answered first. I, of course, also do 2 Q&As in here that are hour plus long. So it's kind of like having Q&As at the end of this. But the difference is I'm actually unmuting you, going into the question and that sort of, going into the question and that sort of thing. Now, here's the other thing. On top of these large Q&As, when you're in Plus, you get a separate 2 Q&A calls with me in a smaller group setting, because the MBA ones, they're much larger. MBA Plus, they're smaller, and I actually unmute. So the MBA calls, I'm just kind of going through and answering questions like I do here. MBA Plus calls, I'm actually unmuting. We're able to kind of almost do a hot seat sort of format. All right. You get all of my programs, a dozen plus programs, all of my future programs, all of my workshops, everything, all that's included. All right. On top of it, every single expert that's there has their own program that they've built specifically for this program. And we're going to be releasing those over the next really month to next 6 months. So an entire Facebook ads and Instagram course, an entire, like legal templates and these different types of things, a whole program on branding, whole programs on finance, operations, right? And you're getting their paid program for free for being inside of this. This is where it gets fun and interesting. You get a personalized growth plan from me, okay? So essentially what happens, you answer about 40 questions, and from there, we go through, myself and Ahmed from my team, we go through and we say, okay, this is where this person needs to be growing. This is where they need to be implementing Skip the Pitch. This is where they need to be implementing the ROI method. And we basically give you, hey, this is what you need to do in the next 6 months. And then on top of the 6 months, we're say, this is what you need to do in order. Here's the content you need to be going to. Here's the content sessions you need to be going to and answering submitting questions for. And instead of you being like, well, what do I need to do next month? What do I need to do here? What do I need to? This allows you to bring your intuition, your alignment, along with guidance of really myself, to know where you need to be. So this is the closest to having me guide you, which is my $40,000 accelerator program, right? Where I actually build a plan out with you on our phone call, right? This is the closest to that. And the level of value of having a plan and a strategy that you know is going to work from someone that's been able to do this over and over and over and over again, that is worth $6,000 by itself. You get also access to our private, right now, Facebook community. Soon it's going to be on our own platform. I'm an investor in a platform that does this, so we're going to be moving to that platform to create more intimacy and to be able to have conversations back and forth, right? On top of that, you get also access to the larger Modern Business Academy, right? So as that grows, your network and your ability to be around other entrepreneurs that are a step ahead of you, step behind you, in the trenches with you, that's there as well. All right. Another really interesting thing that we're going to be rolling out this summer that I'm excited for is weekly feedback. So on top of the Q&A sessions, you're going to be able to submit your questions. Hey, listen, I got ads. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. And myself and my team, we're going to be able to give you answers to that, because we want to increase how quickly the feedback loop goes. Right? We want to make it so that you're able to get feedback, able to implement that, because that allows you to have more and more momentum. The worst thing you can do is be like, what do I do for 6 weeks? For that 6 weeks, you're losing momentum. You're losing energy. You have a massive energy leak. So we want to fix that inside of the business. All right. We also have Mindset Work through Rewired, which is a company I'm a co-owner in. So you get 4 hypnotherapy sessions that are based on entrepreneurship. All right, so that alone is $600. If you go readytorewire.com, that's $600 alone. I pay for that for you. I spend like $25,000 a month on hypnotherapy sessions for our clients. Generally, on average, $25,000 a month. I'm paying for sessions directly. Okay, like hypnotherapists that we've trained through entrepreneurship, through as well as Grace Space, which is who we've partnered with and who is my personal hypnotherapist. Okay. And then finally, you also get, in 2022, we're going to be doing the Modern Business Academy event. That's generally going to be $1,000. You're going to get that for free. Okay. So there's some other things in there I won't go into. I think they're super valuable on top of this. And think of it this way, right? So you're here today, right? And for Skip the Pitch, you know you need to implement things for Skip the Pitch, but you know you need to implement things in your marketing and your sales, your mindset, operations, all these different types of things, okay? And so as we go along, you know you need strategy and mindset work and planning and mentorship and a feedback loop and content and community, and that separates you between your next level, right? And so the way I look at it is, yes, it's $6,000. Right now, $6,000 for life. You get access to the group calls and everything for life. In the future, it's going to be $6,000 for 6 months, $10,000 for lifetime. So you're essentially saving $4,000 as it is today. But the cost, like the reason you don't do this is your ego, generally. Like the reason why you don't pay for mentorship is your ego. You're like, yeah, I got it. But kind of think about it this way. It's like $6,000 is the cost of insurance, knowing that you're going to make the right decision. $6,000 is the clarity of a personalized assessment. $6,000 is the ability to really, at the end of the day, have focus, have accountability, and to be able to do it the right way the first time instead of trying to figure it all out. And in my opinion, most of the time, $6,000 is like a couple of sales. And so the way I look at it, and that's really all I got for you today, the way I look at it, this is by far the easiest and most effective way to be able to have a plan that actually works for you. You're not having to go inside of a box. You're getting help from literally the best experts that are in the actual online space that are vetted by me, just not some random people. You're being able to get mindset work and help on every single pillar. And as I said a minute ago, and as I said yesterday, there's 7 things that make the entrepreneurs that succeed be able to succeed. And it is strategy, and it is mindset, and it is planning and mentorship and feedback. And most of the time you have to go over here and get content, and you have to buy 7 courses here, and then you have to get 2 mentors and a coach, and you have to do this. And I guarantee you're never going to be able to find this for $6,000 if you add those things together. So if you want to talk about this and you want to talk to Gianna, go ahead and do the intake form. She's going to paste it in. And I would even tell you that do the intake form and let's just have a conversation with her about it, because I personally believe there's nothing else better out there that's able to actually have the needs of your alignment and your business and your business model and the content that actually works for where you are. And instead of having this sort of one size fits all, which is complete bullshit in my opinion, it allows you to have a plan that actually works for you, that allows you to build such amazing momentum. And the cool part is too, you get to be at the start of this, right? We have about 450 people in Modern Business Academy, about 150 people, I believe, that have bought Modern Business Academy Plus. So that's Modern Business Academy. Modern Business Academy itself is really just the group sessions, right? And the content, right? Which we are also offering as a lifetime version. And Gianna can talk to you about that. And hey, listen, if you want to be able to get on a phone call with me, a couple of 20-minute phone calls, you want a little bit more intimacy, you want a smaller container because you know that that's how you work, we also have a VIP option, right? We also have a VIP option. We only do about 8 a month of those because of course they take my time. But if you're here and you're like, you know what, I want the experience of being able to have Scott's direct eyes on the phone. I want to be able to kind of like phone a friend. I want to phone a mentor. When I want to plan the launch, I want to have Scott's eyes on that launch. When I'm transitioning to using the skip the pitch, I want Scott's eyes on it. Well, we also have that option and that opportunity as well. So make sure you talk to Gianna, do the intake form. It takes a few minutes. It's not a big deal. And if you do the intake form, we're going to, hey, this is where you need to go. This is what you need to do. There's not going to be any crazy scarcity, anything like that. I just simply want to be able to help you. I built Modern Business Academy. We're building Modern Business Academy to make it so that it is the easiest, most effective, most efficient way to be able to help online entrepreneurs scale. No matter if you're at 0 a month, no matter you're at 10,000 a month, 50,000 a month. I've helped so many people get to multiple 6 figures, multiple 7 figures, 8 figures plus. And I really, truly have the embodiment of knowing what works and what doesn't work. So with that said, make sure you submit that to Gianna, and I'm excited to welcome you into that if it's in alignment. And that is going to be on the sales page. And now we're back for the Q&A. All right, Q&A, let's go. And obviously any questions about this stuff, I'm happy to answer to. All right. What do you got for questions? What are your thoughts on Facebook? I wonder if I can change this so I can like sit down or something here. Because my feet are, oh, I think I blew through that. Just give me 1 second, guys. I gotta change my charger real quick. I'm going to trying to figure out how to be able to sit down because my feet are about a little bit gone at the current moment. All right. What are your thoughts on Facebook groups for building engagement and community? I think they're great. I think they're amazing. I love Facebook groups. I'm a big believer of Facebook groups. I have training in our ROI program on how to do Facebook groups. They work great up to multiple 7 figures. This is such a great session. Thank you about that. Thank you. I created a group last year, only has 28 guys in it. Do I revive it, start a new one? I would start a new one for sure. I would definitely start a new one. That's what I would go with. What's the level of revenue that you recommend to launch an audience offer? 10 to 20,000 a month generally. What do you think about going from an audience offer to 37 to 1,000 offer as a temp fix if you're in the 10 to 50K? But audience offer, what do you think about going from an audience offer 37 to maybe I would need more information on that one. That's a massive maybe for me. You said 10 to 30 to use an automatic way, systematic leads versus paid ad. Systematic in terms of having a funnel, starting an email list, doing those different types of things. I would definitely, depending on your profit margin, start fueling it with some form of advertising or some form of traffic from there for sure. Can I keep the $27 program as an audience offer? Will it take people from the slow lane to the fast? Absolutely. I'm actually going to do this. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll unplug this, and I'm just going to have this here. All right. All right. What are the tips to build relevancy, authority, status, even if you have a very small audience? I mean, I think at the end of the day, to build an audience from the beginning, it just kind of you almost got to assume you have a large audience to be able to build that. And it's about sharing your wins and sharing what works for other people, and just sharing. At the end of the day, like, your authority just comes from you talking as if you're an authority. People see you the way that you see yourself. You see yourself as an authority, people are going to see you as an authority as well. For sure. That is how it's done. I saw it there. Yes, it is right now, $6,000 for life, which is a ridiculous, crazy, shouldn't happen. Gianna convinced me yesterday offer. What category do you call your $99 5-day evergreen? Best way to use that when I'm trying to stay high ticket. That is definitely an audience offer. 100% an audience offer. And you gotta remember that, like a lot of people that do my workshops, they're not going to buy the high ticket thing, but that's fine. That's okay. It still allows me to build audience, and they might come back 6 months, 12 months, 2 years from now. They might have friends that they refer, those different types of things. What can we do in our task and energy map? Kind of just the best thing to do is just like take some time and think about what and how people interact with you, and how you interact with your business is really the way I would look at that. Is it the audience offer going to cold traffic or omnipresence audience? It would be going to both. In evergreen, it's totally cold. It's too cool to go to completely cold. Whenever I'm doing something live like this, I'll never scale my cold more than 50% of my warm. And the reason is because if you have a bunch of cold people in a live experience, your ability to keep the vibration high from your current people is difficult. So, like, for example, I probably spent I screwed up the ad budget on this workshop because I forgot to tell my ad guy to scale it. But I think we spent like $8,000 on cold and like 20 something grand on warm, right? So I don't want everyone there to be cold. I do want some people to be warm on that type of thing. Scott, imagine starting a business of coaching for a niche. Do you a Canva business model or something like that before you start? What is your vision about a business model? I personally never do that. I just kind of, I don't know, sketch it out on paper. I've never I've never built a business plan. I've never used Canva. Like I've never done any of those things. Maybe I should, but I don't. For MBA Plus, do we do the monthly thing for 6 months? That's amazing. The monthly thing. Sorry, I'm confused on what the monthly thing is. Sorry, I'm confused on that. When under 10K a month, do you recommend doing only one-on-one high ticket to start? When would a group program make sense? Can build it, promote it while still building one-on-one. I generally recommend doing the audience offer and building the funnel and that stuff when you're doing the one-on-one. Then once that's built and that's working, or at least kind of like actually work, like bringing the actual leads in and that type of thing, then launch the group so that 3 months down the road, that marketing's brought in enough people for the second group, and so that it doesn't have to be stressful. Is the revenue ceiling very low if you only sell your time? I do Microsoft Excel training. I don't feel in alignment to create video courses that scale like others. I think the revenue, I think at the end of the day, it is low, but you can increase it by creating a larger and larger audience so that people have to pay a lot more money to be able to work with you. But you're like my limit in my business, if I just sold my time, would be about 3 million. Which is, great. And I've been able to do that through building an audience. But if I just sell my time, it's about 3 to 4 million ish. If I want to scale from there, which obviously is Modern Business Academy, well, now I can, go to 8 figures plus if I want to. And I wouldn't do it for the money. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, if Modern Business Academy, if I didn't see the vision for the next 5 years, I wouldn't have done it. I just do another year of, 3-4 million that has an 80% profit margin. So you don't have to scale in order to do that. Like, you don't have to scale in order to do that, but building an audience so that you can charge, much more money, that is needed, and authority, of course. Any particular Omni content types that don't need a personal voice and can be produced by an outside writer? All your omnipresence content can be done by an outside writer. It also can be used. I have lots of corporate brands that that use omnipresence as well. So it doesn't have to be. It's just more effective that way, right? And if you don't do a business model, what do you do before you start a launch business? What kind of reflection, or what do you reflect on? I think like what is the first offer? What is the first offer? What is the thing that I actually who do I actually want to help? How can I actually help them? How can I get the most momentum the quickest? How can I get enough money so that the money of the business builds the business? Right. Those are the things I would be thinking about. What if you haven't nailed down your methodology? Hard to create an audience offer at 10 to 15K a month currently, but hard time putting the method or words. Do you help with that? Number one, yes, we help with that. Number two, your workshop doesn't have to be about your methodology. It could just be a process. It could just be something that you're necessarily teaching. It could also just be like a mini course. It could also be, a walkthrough of how you're doing something and helping someone. It doesn't have to be necessarily like this or like a method, in that way. What percentage of sales would you recommend to set aside for marketing, for service, SEO article, or just focus on paid ads on social media? I would say that, I would do it like a 75-25 split, 75% on paid, 25% on more like organic formats and that sort of thing, just because the organic formats take more time to be able to. So the organic is going to take 3, 6, 12, 24 months to be able to kind of activate. The paid advertising is going to make it happen faster. The personalized growth plan and MBA, yes, you do it once, right? So you essentially do that once. In the future, we are going to have an option where you can pay not like a ton of money. It might be like $1,000 to be able to do it, every 6 months or in the future. So you won't have to pay, another $5,000 or $6,000 to be able to do it. It'll be kind of a lower option. But we haven't figured that one out. Is there a payment plan for MBA? Talk to Gianna on that. We do have some financing options when it comes to that. So talk to Gianna on that. She can figure that out for you depending on your situation, where you are, and that sort of thing. Any other questions, friends? What time is it anyways? I had a phone call at 2. All right. Any other questions for today? Tomorrow, I probably won't be on here particularly. I'm probably going to be on my laptop or on my iPad, actually, going through things. Do you use guides before an audience offer for paid ads? Absolutely. Don't have to, but it works. I have a free group of 450. Should I keep growing or pare it down? Like here, I would keep growing it and pare it down, do both. What are the best organic ways? I mean, really, what do you have in your energy? I mean, I think TikTok's amazing right now. I think Instagram still works really well. Facebook groups is really well. Podcasting works incredibly well in terms of being on other people's podcasts. Marketing budget versus percentage of sales. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it comes down to like what you can afford. I think it's less of a percentage and like what you can actually afford or what you're willing to do after your life expenses are there. For me, it was really in 2016, 2017, it was 100%. Everything I put it right back into the business because I didn't have anywhere else to, like, where else am I going to invest money that has a better return? Right? Even now, it's still like that, right? Like I can have a better return in my business than almost anywhere else, right? And so I utilize that. When you do a challenge like now, if you close a group at Facebook, and how do you not lose the people in Facebook? I do lose the people in Facebook. I will archive the group in a couple of weeks, and I still have their email address. So I always want to make sure I have the email address of someone in a Facebook group. I'm just trying to see if. I'm just going back real quick. I might have lost the question. So I have a 4-week accelerator that I'm using to build a new audience and eventually move to a core offer once a new audience is built. After listening here, I'm thinking of adding the audience on the front end. Yeah, that would be exactly what I would do. That is probably a good, based on what I know, that's what I think I would do. What should a short book that takes an audience from slow lane to fast lane lead to? A high ticket offer group, coaching, or course? I would just do it to a phone call, an application. Yeah, an application. Okay, so that is all for today. I will see you back here tomorrow. This has been a super amount of fun, as always. But I want to just check in. How was the content today? How was it helpful? Was it useful? I just want to check in with you real quick to see your thoughts on today. 9.99 again. I love it. Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody. All right, everyone. I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Love you so much. I will see you again tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. If you're on the replay, hopefully you enjoyed this, and I'm excited to see you on day 5. All right, everybody. See you later now. Bye.